Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to a debate night special with me, your host Mohammed Shafiq, live from our studios here in Blackburn. Tonight, we want to talk about unity. Tonight, as a result of having two Eids here in the United Kingdom and across Europe and in some parts of the world, we believe at Ummah Channel that the Muslims can unite and must unite. We urge our scholars from all school of thoughts to come together here at Ummah Channel on one platform to say that we are fed up with having different Eids and different Ramadans. So yes, the question tonight is, can the Muslims come together here in the UK? Can we agree a formula on which all groups who believe that they are following the Quran and the Sunnah in their interpretation, in their opinion, to the best of their knowledge? Can we bring these scholars together? Can we bring these Muslim organizations together to instill ittihad or ittafaq in the Muslim community? Across the country, we've seen over the past few days huge anger amongst our community. People are fed up that after 30, 40 years in this country, we are still not being able to get unity on this. Now, I personally, passionately believe that we as Muslims can come together, and inshallah we will come together. And tonight will be the starting point of Ummah Channel's very own initiative for one Ummah, one Eid. And in particular, we're focusing on the United Kingdom. We believe, Ummah Channel, that we are ready to facilitate those discussions for unity. We are ready to talk to all scholars from all schools of thoughts to bring them together and say, let's, for the sake of Allah, agree one Eid here in the United Kingdom. So tonight, I want you to call in. But if you're going to call in and you're going to criticize the Saudis, you're going to criticize the Jubandis or the Barelvis, you're going to criticize groups, then please don't ring in. Tonight we want you to ring in and tell us your pledge of what you will do to bring together our communities. We may have differences and there may be many, but on this issue we must come together, and inshallah we will. And tonight I hope with our guest here in the studio we'll be able to give you an insight in how that unity can be practiced according to the Quran and the Sunnah. We've got people on our panel who've got 30, 40 years experience in this field, and I hope by having them here today, it's a pleasure and a privilege to welcome them here tonight, that you'll be able to see the difficulties of unity and how we can practically do that. We are not here to criticize groups. We're not here to say, I told you so, about any particular group or any particular opinion. We're here to say, can Muslims unite here in the United Kingdom? Let me introduce my panel. Starting on my right, we've got Qayyum Dad Sahab, a regular presenter and commentator here on Ummah Channel. Qayyum Sahab, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Good to have you back.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. On my left, Alhamdulillah, Ummah Channel's very own Mufti Fazl Qayyum Subhani Sahab. Assalamu alaikum, Qibla Mufti Sahab.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Welcome to the show, Azad.
Jazakumullah khair.
And on my far left, hopefully not politically speaking, we've got Abdul Hamid Qureshi Sahab, mashallah, who's got Lancashire Council and Mosque. He's involved with a very large project with UK Islamic Mission in Oldham. Mashallah, very big project. Qureshi Sahab, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Welcome to the show. Ji, Mufti Sahab, to you first. ये जो अभी इस वक्त यहाँ मैं समझता हूँ ये एक तूफान पैदा हुआ है आवाम में कि वो ये देख रहे हैं कि ये मजाक कुफार मजाक बना रहे हैं कि हम में इत्तफाक इत्तेहाद क्यों नहीं हो सकता, क्योंकि कुछ हजरात जो मंगलार को ईद किया वो ज़ाहिर है वो अपने उलमा के मुताबिक अपने मसाजिदों के मुताबिक उन्होंने फॉलो किया, कुछ हजरात हैं जो वेंसडे ईद किया, ये क्यों ऐसा मसला पैदा हुआ और इत्तफाक कैसा पैदा हो सका?
नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली व नुसल्लिमु अला रसूलिहिल करीम, अम्मा बाद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम, बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। क़ाल अल्लाहु तबारक व तआला फ़िल क़ुरानिल मजीद, फ़मन शहिद मिनकुमुश शहरा फ़लयसुम्ह, सदक़ल्लाहु मौलानल अज़ीम। First of all, I congratulate you, Brother Shafiq Sahab, for keeping and making such a beautiful program with a very, very unique cause to bring the ummah together on the point of ittihad, on the point of togetherness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ने कुरान करीम के अंदर इरशाद फरमाया, फ़मन शहिदा मिनकुमुश शहरा फ़लयसुम्हु, फ़मन शहिदा जिसने भी शहादत दिया है मिनकुमुश शहरा इस महीने का, फ़लयसुम्हु तो फिर आप रोज़े रखना शुरू कर दे। शाहिदा का इस्तेमाल इस आयत मुबारका के अंदर इत्तिहाद और इत्तिफाक की दलालत करता है, और इस लफ्ज़ मुबारक का इस्तेमाल शाहिदा यानी शहादत देने वाला قرآن کریم نے رسول اللہ علیہ السلام کو شاہدا و مبشرا و نذیرا فرمایا. The meaning of that is that Rasulullah علیہ السلام is حاضر و ناظر on the اعمال of all the ummah or the whole mankind. شاہد وہ آدمی ہوتا ہے جو خود دیکھتا ہے اور خود دیکھنے کے بعد وہ شہادت دیتا ہے. قرآن کریم کے الفاظ ہے یہ، فمن شہد، جو شہادت دے، خود دیکھ لے اور پھر اس کی شہادت دے. اور اسی طرح رسول اللہ علیہ السلام نے سب سے مشہور حدیث، رسول اللہ علیہ السلام نے ارشاد فرمایا کہ سوموا لرؤیتہ وافطروا لرؤیتہ، ارشاد فرمایا دیکھ کے روزہ کر لو اور دیکھ کے پھر عید منایا کرو. دوسرے حدیث مبارکہ میں رسول اللہ علیہ السلام نے ارشاد فرمایا انا امت امیت. اس حدیث کے نقل کرنے والے حضرت ابن عمر رضی اللہ تعالیٰ عنہ، بخاری شریف، مسلم شریف، ترمذی شریف، دیگر کئی جو مجموعہ احادیث ہے انہوں نے نقل کیا. رسول اللہ علیہ السلام نے ارشاد فرمایا انا امت امیت لا نکتب ولا نحسب الشہر ہاکذا وہاکذا وہاکذا او الشہر ہاکذا وہاکذا وہاکذا. رسول اللہ علیہ السلام نے ارشاد فرمایا کہ ہم امی امت ہے، نہ لکھتے ہیں ولا نحسب، اور نہیں حساب کتاب جانتے ہیں. آپ نے فرمایا مہینہ پھر کیا ہے؟ آپ نے ارشاد فرمایا مہینہ یہ اور یہ ہے، او پھر فرمایا کہ یا مہینہ یہ اور یہ ہے. ارشاد کا مطلب یہ ہے کہ آپ علیہ السلام نے ارشاد فرمایا مہینہ 30 دن کا ہے یا 29 دن کا ہے. اب یہ 30 دن کا یا 29 دن کا that is where we need to figure out کہ اس حساب کا جو قرآن کریم نے ہمیں ضابطہ بنایا وہ یہ فمن شہد منکم الشہر، جس نے چاند کو دیکھ لیا وہ شہادت دے اور اسی حساب سے آپ روزہ رکھے. اور حضور نے تعین فرمایا مہینہ نہ 28 کا ہے نہ 31 کا ہے. رسول اللہ علیہ السلام نے مہر نبوت لگا کر اس مسئلے کو حل فرمایا مہینہ یا 29 کا ہے. 29 کے اختتام پہ چاند نظر نہیں آیا، مطلع ابر آلود ہے یا مطلع صاف نہیں ہے. پھر آپ نے ارشاد فرمایا مہینے کے دن 30 پورے کر کے اپنے آئندہ کے مہینے کا آغاز کر دیا جائے. امت مسلمہ کے اندر رسول اللہ علیہ السلام کا واضح حدیث مبارک ہے. رسول اللہ علیہ السلام نے ارشاد فرمایا جب بھی میرے امت کے اندر ایک سنت کو ترک کیا جائے گا اس کی جگہ پہ بدعت جگہ لے کے جائے گی. حضور علیہ السلام کے اس حدیث مبارک کو آج ہم اٹھا کر دیکھتے ہیں کہ ہم نہ حساب کتاب والے ہیں، ہم نہ منجمین میں سے ہیں، ہم نہ اندازے لگاتے ہیں. وہ جو قدرت کا انتظام جس کو آنکھ کے دیکھنے سے، رؤیت شرعی جس کو کہتے ہیں، رؤیت کا معنی علم بھی ہو سکتا ہے، عقل بھی ہو سکتا ہے، ہزاروں معنی ہو سکتے ہیں. رؤیت کا یہاں احادیث اور قرآن کے آئینے کے اندر معنی رؤیت شرعی ہے. اور رؤیت شرعی تب حاصل ہوگا جب لوگ اپنے آنکھ سے دیکھیں گے. اور آپ کی توجہ کے لیے اور ناظرین کی توجہ کے لیے ہمارے کئی فقہاء کرام نے یہ لکھا ہے کہ چاند کا دیکھنا فرض کفایہ میں سے ہے. اور پورے امت کے اندر، پورے اس جماعت کے اندر، جماعت مسلمین کے اندر اگر اس فرض کو ادا نہ کیا جائے تو برطانیہ کے تمام مسلمان اس فرض کفایہ کے غیر ادائیگی پر اس کے گناہگار ہے. بعض علماء نے اس کو واجب لکھا، بعض علماء نے فرض کفایہ لکھا. جو فرض کفایہ کا ترک کرے، سنت رؤیت کا ترک کرے، پھر ظاہر بات ہے کہ یہ مسائل سارے اٹھیں گے. اور اجمالی طور پر اتنا ضرور کہوں گا جب ہم سنت کے طرف واپس لوٹیں گے اور سنت مطہرہ کو اپنا آئین اور دستور 12 مہینے کا بنائیں گے انشاءاللہ تعالیٰ کچھ مسئلہ نہیں رہے گا.
Okay, we will explore this further with our other guests, but let's take our first call of the evening. Muhammad Dilshah Saab is joining us. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, brother.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, jazakallah, brother.
جی
میں تو 2 دن سے ٹرائی کر رہا تھا لیکن الحمدللہ کہ اللہ لاکھ شکر ہے کہ آج مجھے کال مل گیا. سب سے پہلے جو میرا 3 پوائنٹ ہے. پہلے پوائنٹ میرا یہ ہے کہ میں 40 ایئرس یو کے میں رہ رہا ہوں اور الحمدللہ مسجد کی کمیٹی میں ہوں. اور 40 ایئرز میں جو میں نے دیکھا ہے کہ ہماری کمیٹی والے نے اور عوام نے جو کوشش کیا ہے کہ عید اور رمضان ایک دن پہ ہو، لیکن جو بھی اختلاف ہے میں 101% گارنٹی کے ساتھ کہتا ہوں علماء کرام کی طرف سے یہ اتفاق نہیں ہو رہا ہے. اگر آج بھی علماء کرام ایک پلیٹ فارم پہ آ جائے، اللہ اور رسول کو حاضر نازر کر کے کہیں کہ ہم امت کو اکٹھا کرنا چاہتے ہیں، امت کو ایک کرنا چاہتے ہیں. اسپیشلی آج کل کی دنیا میں جو مسلمانوں کے لیے پرابلم ہے، اسپیشلی ابھی یہاں بھی جو پرابلم ہونے والی ہے، ہم صرف ایک لا الہ الا اللہ محمد رسول اللہ کو سامنے رکھ کر ہم نے امت کے لیے کام کرنا ہے. اگر یہ علماء کرام अपने एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे आ जाए तो इंशाल्लाह कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी, न सऊदी की प्रॉब्लम होगी, न मराकश की होगी, न साउथ अफ्रीका की होगी। लेकिन ये उलमाए किराम नहीं चाहते हैं, इसलिए अवाम अभी अगर आप उम्मा चैनल पे करें और दूसरी चैनल वाले बोले कि कल ईद है, कल रमजान है, अवाम करेंगे। अवाम तो इनको फॉलो कर रहे हैं और कभी अवाम को ब्लेम नहीं करने का है, कभी सऊदी को ब्लेम नहीं करना है, और सिर्फ 101% अल्लाह भी बेहतर जानता है मेरे दिल का भी, और मेरा 40 years एक्सपीरियंस है। और ये उलमाए किराम अल्लाह को हाजिर नाज़िर कहें कि हाँ हमने ये काम करना है, तो फिर देखना इंशाल्लाह होता है कि नहीं होता है।
थैंक यू मोहम्मद दिलशाद साहब, थैंक यू जज़ाकल्लाह, थैंक यू आपकी कॉल का। असल में काफी काफी कॉल इंतजार करें। थैंक यू फॉर योर कॉल। देयर इज लॉट्स ऑफ कॉल्स वेटिंग and I want to just say to our guests and I want to say to you at home as well, keep your comments brief. We will be able to get through as many
brother,
calls.
I never finish. I've got another point.
Very briefly, very quickly, because we've got loads of call waiting, brother.
Yeah, briefly, we got proof, and from 1985, the Saudi government confirmed that don't follow us.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I think we've done this to issue today. It's not about demonizing, attacking, or criticizing other countries, other school of thoughts. It's about unity. हम कैसे इत्तेफाक व इत्तेहाद पैदा करेंगे? Qureshi साहब, now I know of you.
वो तो है।
Thank you. Okay.
के हाथ पे है ना।
Thank you, Jalal साहब. Thank you for your call. Khudafiz. Okay, Khudafiz. I thought he was gone there. You've got, I mean, I've known you for what, 10 years at least, mashallah. And I know that before even I know you, you've got a wealth of experience in this field. Now, you tell me, the people out there are fed up of having these two Eids. Can we get that unity on this issue?
I think that before I make my opinion, I want to clear 2 points. One is this, that sometimes it appears that there are those people adhere to one opinion, they try to claim that we are absolute right. And another group will come and they will say they will be absolute right. The fact of the matter is that everyone is trying to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is just that the mechanism they adopt, they differ, and their understanding differ. Therefore, this issue arises. So it is nobody who is a rebellion to God and or his prophet. It is just the complexity of issue which is in front of us. Now, the difficulty is of two nature. One is that in this country, it's easy to read. Everyone knows what are the bases of decision making. Problem is that the weather conditions in this country is a real barrier.
Okay. I'm going to apologize.
Can
we we're going to take a quick break for Isha. Azan is Isha time, so let's take a break for Azan Isha, and inshallah we'll call. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Debate Night with me, your host Mohammed Shafiq, live from our studios here in Blackburn. We're talking about unity. We've seen a spectacle, we've seen every year. Every year we see two Eids, or sometime we may have one Eid, but most of the time we've had two Eids for as long as I can remember, and I'm 32. If you're on Twitter, it's mshafiq UK, the address is on your screen now. You can tweet me your question or your comment, inshallah, we'll put it to our panelists. You can call us on 01254 277 370. You can get in touch with us on Facebook at the official Ummah channel page. Alternatively, ring us up 01254 277 370. If you're going to ring up and criticize the school of thought, a particular opinion, then I'm not really interested in your call tonight. I want to talk about unity. Can we bring the Muslims together? Alhamdulillah, I'm now joined also by Maulana Mustafa Raza Qadri Sahib. Assalamu alaikum, Maulana.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Welcome to the show. And inshallah, we'll explore in a bit more detail with Maulana and also Qayyum Sahib, who's here as well. Qureshi Sahib, I rudely interrupted you obviously for the Azan Isha. You were talking.
I was stating a couple of principles. One, that nobody is absolutely right or wrong on this issue. All the solutions which are proposed up to now or adopted are all compromise solutions. Now, the issue is that I was trying to explain that there are two difficulties. One is the difficulty which is the weather conditions, and second is the difficulty, the global technological developments.
I'm going to apologize, I've just got a call. Can we take it?
Okay.
Promise I'll come back to
That's
you.
fine.
Thank you very much. We've got Nasir Chaudhry Sahib is from Middlesbrough. He's on the phone. Nasir Chaudhry from Middlesbrough. Assalamu alaikum, Nasir.
वालेकुम सलाम शफीक भाई कैसे हैं?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
आई एम फाइन ब्रदर।
Go ahead, your question or comment, please.
मेरी तरफ से सबसे पहले आपके पूरे पैनल को जो है ना बहुत बहुत सलाम वालेकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू। और मैं तीनों प्रोग्राम देख रहा हूँ, 2 प्रोग्राम पहले भी देखे हैं और आज भी देख रहा हूँ। मैं अहले सुन्नत जमात को तहसीन पेश
अच्छा, ये आप ये बताएं मुझे पहले, आप इत्तेफाक व इत्तेहाद हमारे कम्युनिटी में पैदा हो सकता है?
बिल्कुल हो सकता है। जितनी कोशिश इस वक्त उम्मा चैनल कर रहा है ना, तो इंशाल्लाह अगले साल इसकी जो है ना वो रिजल्ट जरूर आएगा इंशाल्लाह।
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Nisar Chaudhry Saab there. Thank you so much for your call. I apologize. We've got loads of call waiting, but obviously, clearly, if you're going to start talking about firqas, then we're going to get into a bit of bother. Tonight, it's just about unity. We want to talk about how can we bring Muslims together. So please, if you are ringing up, keep your comments around the issue of unity. Ji,
right. It has now broken the flow, but the issue is that the technological developments are another challenges which are posed. Now, in that there are two, for last 28, 30 years, the way the people have been proposing the solutions, there have been many points when the people were all united. They agreed on formulas, different kind of formulas, and the problem came that after the agreement, there was no mechanism to implement that formula. So there were absolutely beautiful compromises they have reached. Therefore, now the issue will be, even now, the very Eid which has taken place, there were two, both of those solutions were based on the collectiveness. I know a little while ago in Birmingham, they decided that the people have objection with some of the governments in different ways, but they decided at that time collectively that if the horizon of Makkah is adopted as a base point, and the observatory from UK tells us that the moon is present after the sunset, that will be the starting point for us. All school of thoughts were agreed at that time. The problem comes when you try to implement it. So when they go back to their own congregations, to their own committees, sometimes it's a problem of scholars, difficulty to understand issues, sometimes it's a problem of committees, they are not trying to make them adhere to different solutions. So therefore my opinion is that you can reach to solutions when they sit around the table. The difficulty is how to implement it, and that is a challenge which I think all of us try to think, that how, when the decisions are reached, what mechanisms we adopt in order to implement that.
Okay, let's go to Blackburn and talk to Akbar Saab. Assalamu alaikum, Akbar. Hello, Akbar. Yes, go ahead. Your question or comment, please. Sorry? Okay. Hello? Okay. Somebody. If you do want to come on my channel, we appreciate our guests are mid-sentence, and sometimes we can stop their flow, and it does cause a bit of... So I do wait until they finish their sentence before I rudely interrupt them. I apologize in advance if I do so. Akbar Saab there in Blackburn, if you do want to call back, inshallah, we'll get you on air. Ji Qayyum Saab. Now, we've seen this yearly spectacle of having two Eids. The people who did Eid on Tuesday said they were right. The people who did Eid on Wednesday said they were right. What is your view out there on this? Because you're a grassroots person, you're in touch with people in the community.
Speaks up on
Let's go Birmingham first, and we'll come back to you. Shahid Saab in Birmingham. Assalamu alaikum, Shahid.
Wa alaikum salam, Shafiq. Good to see you back.
Thank you very much. Good to be back. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum to everybody on there, on the panel. I'm going to jump straight in, Shafiq, and I'm going to tell you my school of thought. I'm going to tell you straight away, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to have a lot of hurdles to cross. To get these people to sit down and talk, because there's a lot of people out there still not willing to face the truth. It's been plain, it's been shown to them, the true facts has been shown to them, but there's still people out there who are still not willing to accept the truth. So it's going to be a struggle. I give a lot of respect to our scholars, and it's going to be difficult, and inshallah, if the scholars can get everybody to sit round the table, and we can sit down and not discriminate against the scholars, and listen to them, and work this thing all through, and work together, and inshallah, it can be sorted out. but we've got to do it by sticking together. We can't discriminate against each other.
Absolutely.
And
Okay.
that's right.
Thank you,
yeah?
Shahid. I apologise if I'm cutting people off, but I clearly understand there's loads of people wanting to get in touch with us, and I've got loads of Facebook messages and Twitter that I want to read out as well. Jikim Sab.
Yeah, very briefly, I just want to say that on a personal level, I've grown up with this issue for a long, long time. Unfortunately, we've come into the 21st century and it's still going on. Although, you know, the technology is there, but we must understand that we've got our deen and our son actually teaches everything. But going beside that, there's a lot of common sense. I think unity is a beautiful thing, being together. We feel that we've been isolated quite a lot for many, many years. And I feel like it's time that we look forward to moving forward. But what I would like to say is that we can only move forward, and that is one way of not blaming and shaming other people. Only one way forward is to listen to each other and work in partnership together to move on and resolve this issue.
Very good. Ji Maulana.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Jazakallah for inviting me onto your show today. Just like to make a point about unity. I think the best way we can achieve a practical and proper solution for this problem is that what we can do is start beginning by excluding certain ideas. If we can't unite on one thing straight away, we can start excluding things. And once we start excluding certain ideas, we can come up with a short list at least.
If I can take another call, I
course.
apologise. Urfi Saab is in Manchester. Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम वरहमतुल्लाह, कैसे मिजाज हैं शफीक भाई?
जी अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह. Go ahead, your question or comment, please.
जी हाँ, क्वेश्चन ये है कि आप जो चीज़ की तलाश में हैं, सबसे पहला मुफ्ती साहब ने जो बयान किया है, वो आपकी बेसिक चीज़ वही है. लेकिन अब यूनिटी का जहाँ तक ताल्लुक आता है, ये सिर्फ आप इंग्लैंड की या इस मुल्क की यूनाइटेड किंगडम की बात करें ना, कि यहाँ के लोगों को इकट्ठा करने की, उलमा इकराम को करने की कोशिश कीजिए. फॉरेन इन्फ्लुएंस को हम बीच में से बिल्कुल निकालें. दिस इज द सेक ऑफ अवर न्यू जनरेशन. जो हमारे नए बच्चे यहाँ पर बच्चे पढ़ रहे हैं ना, ये इतने फेडअप हो गए हैं ना इन चीज़ों से, इनको यूनाइट करने के लिए हमें आपस में इत्तेफाक करना पड़ेगा. और मुफ्ती साहब ने जो फरमाया है, कुरान और हदीस, ये तो बेसिक है, इसको तो कोई दुनिया की ताकत चेंज कर ही नहीं सकती. ये मजहब चेंज नहीं हो सकता था क़यामत तक के लिए. चांद और सूरज, शमसी और कमरी निज़ाम जो है, वो हमें इसीलिए बयान दिया गया है कि हम उस पर अमल करें. हाँ, मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी से हम मदद ले सकते हैं, लेकिन उसके अलावा वी हैव टू मेक ए यूनिटी इन दिस कंट्री. कोई बाहर का इन्फ्लुएंस ना हो. लेकिन उसमें दो प्रॉब्लम यहाँ आ रही हैं. एक तो हमारे यहाँ कमेटी सिस्टम है, और दूसरा सिस्टम यह है कि कोई फंडिंग जो है बाहर से आती है जिन मसाजिद के लिए, वो दे हैव टू गो अलोंग विद देम. उस चीज को हमने से बीच में से निकालना है. सिर्फ यह है कि अपनी बच्चों के लिए, अपने लिए, यहाँ की मसाजिद के, यहाँ के कानून और यहाँ का जो हम बनाए उसके हिसाब से, सुन्नत और रसूल के हिसाब से, हदीस के हिसाब से और कुरान हकीम फुरकान हमीद के हिसाब से चलेंगे तो फिर यूनिटी होगी. वरना इस तरह यूनिटी कितनी दफा पहले भी हो चुकी है.
Thank you very much.
बहुत शुक्रिया.
बहुत शुक्रिया. Thank you very much. Ji, sorry Maulana, I interrupted you there.
Yeah, so the concept of unity, like the person before me was saying, is a beautiful concept. But the fact is that we can't unite just for the sake of it. If people want to unite on the fact that we should pray 2 rak'ah instead of 4 rak'ah, or that we should pray Isha in Maghrib time and things like this, we can't unite on these things where we have clear guidance from the Sharia. And the guidance from the Sharia, from the Quran and the Sunnah, we don't have time to go through all the verses and the ahadith here, is that it should be based on moon sighting and moon visibility. The fact of the matter is that the cause for this disunity, and I'm not pointing fingers just for the sake of it, the cause for the disunity is the announcements, the extraordinary announcements made by Saudi Arabia. Now what we must do to start with is exclude these announcements that have been made by Saudi Arabia in the recent years. And most people now, as the caller was just saying, our youth, they can check the internet. It's becoming clear to everybody now that the announcements made by Saudi Arabia are not credible. Before we move forward on this matter, everybody has to come round to the table and accept this fact that Saudi Arabia moon sightings are not credible, and they are the cause of the disunity in the first place. Once we can exclude this idea that we should be blind following any country, let alone Saudi Arabia, based upon their calculations, that's when we can move forward. And we know that Saudi Arabian calculations are based on the birth of the moon, not on the visibility of the moon. And I'll just give one reference by Imam Subki. In his Fatawa Subki, he says that shahadat will not be taken on mustahilat. Those things which are from the impossibilities, we will not take shahad on that. For example, if it is clearly said that the moon is not visible in a place due to mathematical calculations, then even if there are several witnesses, we will reject their testimony.
Okay, let's take another caller. Muhammad Ismail Saab is in Blackburn. Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad Ismail. Ji, assalamu alaikum.
हेलो अस्सलाम वालेकुम
Walaikum salam ji.
यार बहुत अच्छा प्रोग्राम जा रहा है
Thank you.
हाँ
बताएं ना फिर क्या कहना चाहते हैं?
ये आप रोज रोज प्रोग्राम करके यूनिटी नहीं बन जाएगी ऐसे
तो कैसे यूनिटी पैदा होगी हमारी कम्युनिटी में?
यूनिटी के लिए फिर जाना पड़ता है सामने आके
वही alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, Muhammad Ismail Saab. I want to explore this, but I want to get away from this, aspect of let's take on the Saudis or let's take on Pakistan or Iran. Let's just put that to one side. I hear what you say. I hear what the other side says as well, because we've had the people who did Eid on the Tuesday with their opinion as well. We will. How can we get a formula agreed within the UK Muslim community? That's what we need to focus on, please.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is that any formula which is decided upon, and alhamdulillah, for example, the British Muslim Forum have agreed upon a formula where all the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah in this country, alhamdulillah, are now united. And in some areas, for example, Rochdale, there's been a great achievement where all the different masalik have gathered together on one formula. And they have agreed that, okay, it's not a matter of blindfolding any country, such as Saudi Arabia, but we shall sit down and work something out. And they did work something out. And the basis of their criteria is that if the moon is visible in Morocco, this is what they have cited because it is one of the closest Muslim countries to Britain, and which is not an abnormal, which does not have an abnormal latitude like UK does. If the moon is visible in Morocco, then on that basis we can announce Eid for the next day.
Okay, let's go to Blackburn again. Muhammad Patel Saab is with us. Assalamu alaikum, Patel Saab. Ji, farmaiye.
Yeah, no, I'm going to speak in English. Is that okay?
Yeah, I want you to speak in English. It's all about English.
Okay. Well, I just want to say, mashallah, the debate's really good, and the topic on unity is excellent. But I thought, the program should have started really with an apology, really, because I know you've mentioned we're not supposed to be demonizing any of the Islamic sort of Jamaat, as it were. But what we have done, and I think your colleague on your right has just done, is demonize Saudi Arabia. He's just written off Saudi Arabia when you've actually asked your guests not to mention any of the sects or any of the imams. So I think you should abide by those rules to begin with, Shafiq Saab, before you start pointing fingers. So if we are going to try and get unity, then perhaps what you need to do is stop trying to point fingers and find faults, and perhaps what you need to do is actually bring the ulama on your screen, really.
Inshallah, and we've got Jazakallah Muhammad Patel. Very
so what
important.
you need to do, really, what I want to say is, if you can stop pointing fingers, if you can stop saying that Saudi Arabia is wrong, or Pakistan is wrong, or India is wrong, or Bangladesh is wrong, or whatever, perhaps because what you've just done there, Maulana, on your right, is alienate all the people from Saudi Arabia by saying they are wrong, and they're making extraordinary announcements, which they haven't been doing so. I know there's been text messages going around as well.
Yeah, well, I want to, you know what I want to do, Patel? Brother Patel, what I want to do is, obviously on behalf of, as head of news and politics here at Ummah Channel, I want to apologise if people have taken offence to, any insinuation that we are demonising.
And I think the matter has already
brother, if you let me finish my sentence, I will happily let you come back in. What I'm saying to you, as a head of news and politics here at Ummah Channel, I'm readily happy to apologise to anybody who took offence to the demonisation of Saudi or anybody else. Look, let's be honest about this.
I'm glad you agree there was demonisation taken place.
Let's be honest about this. There is a difference of opinion. There's a group of people who naturally have...
What you can't do is have a debate without actually discussing the two sides.
Yes, and
what you should take into account is the hurt caused by our words, especially in television.
Well, and I think you've done justice to your cause by coming on and making your point. Thank you for making that point.
I hope you do too.
Jazakallah. Thank you very much. Thank you. I apologise. You've had a good
respond because it was directed to me. I will also apologise. I do apologise if you have taken offence. That was not my intention. But the fact of the matter is that we are here sat today talking about unity. If you want unity, you'll have to face some hard truths. There might be hard truths for you to face. But certain things have to be brought round the table and we have to discuss them in an open manner. It's not about being embarrassed or that I have been disrespected or that I have been ashamed. We should get away from these ideas. The matter is, what is the correct decision and formula that we should adopt, which is based on the Quran and the Sunnah. It's not about Saudi Arabia, it's not about the Maslak, because even the Deobandis have come out and they are, alhamdulillah now, the Deobandis and the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat Barelvi Maslak have united on this issue in this country and also in Pakistan. So it's not about Maslak and different aqaid, it's about the criteria adopted by a certain country or the authorities in a certain country. And even the people within Saudi Arabia, for example, the Saudi Arabian Astronomical Society, the experts in Riyadh, even they have disagreed with the announcements made in Saudi Arabia. So it's not against a certain Maslak or a people.
I want to bring Qureshi Sahib into you in a second, but I want to just explore this aspect. There's a difference. We know there's a difference between those people who believe in a birth and some people who believe in a sighting. Can we bridge that divide?
Yeah,
and how can we bridge that divide?
That's a very good question, Brother Shafiq. The fact, this is very interesting actually, because these people who base their Eids and Ramadan and the new months on the new moon, they won't actually admit to you that it's based on the birth of the new moon. They claim that it's based on moon visibility. And they will also tell you there are some anonymous people that have sighted the moon. So what we first need to get clear is your announcement based on the sighting of the moon or the birth of the new moon? And we find many contradictions. The taqweem of Al-Qura we find is based on the birth of the new moon. That's scientifically established. But the fact of the matter is that they don't admit this openly, and they say it's based on the visibility of the new moon. So how we can bridge this gap is that they have to admit clearly what they are doing. What are your announcements based on? I mean, there's a lot of speculation. We have some facts about this. They have to come clear with what their actual Eid and Ramadan announcements are based on. In the end, even their scholars, such as Sheikh Uthaymeen, Sheikh Abdullah bin Baz, all of them have stated that the new months begin with the visibility of the new moon, and there is ijma' of the ummah on this. Not just the ijma' of the Ahlul Sunnah, but the ijma' of the ummah. And the religious authorities in Saudi Arabia take it one step further. I mean, I have a lot of information in front of me, as you can see. Their scholars, beginning from Ibn Taymiyyah all the way down to Abdullah bin Baz, say that the only dependable moon sighting is that moon sighting which is done local. And just one example, if I may, Brother Shafiq. Sheikh Uthaymeen was actually approached personally by Salman Zafar Sheikh. He's done a lot of work in this respect. And Dr. Salman Zafar Sheikh says that I met Sheikh Uthaymeen and told him that we have this problem in North America where we have 2 different Eids, 2 different Ramadans. And what he said to him was might astonish a lot of your viewers today. What he said was that people outside should not be following Saudi announcements. People outside of Saudi Arabia should not be following the announcements made by the authorities here. They should do Eid and Ramadan according to the decisions made in their own country. So when they themselves are asking you not to follow them, they have wrote fatwas on this. I have a fatwa right in front of me here, the original Arabic and the English translation. If Shafiq wants me to read it out, I can do that.
We will explore that.
So the way we can pursue unity is the muftis in Saudi Arabia, who some of the people in our country, in the UK, claim to follow. When they are telling you not to follow Saudi Arabia, then why are you following Saudi Arabia? When they are asking you to follow the ulama in your own country, then why are you creating this discord and divide?
Okay, well, like I said, it's a balanced debate. You've got one view there with Maulana Mustafa Raza Qadri Sahab, and we will get a response there from Abdul Hamid Qureshi Sahab very shortly. But let's go to Bradford and talk. I apologize. Let's go to Manchester and talk to Brother Khan. Assalamu alaikum. Muhammad Khan Sahab.
Walaikum salam.
Ji.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Your question or comment, please.
Basically, I kind of agree with the last speaker in that reliability of an announcement should be looked at, because there's all sorts of information being flying around at the moment, whether the announcement of Saudi was actually reliable or not. I mean, that's an issue we do need to discuss. But I think to break it down into simple terms, most Muslims in the world agree that the announcement should be based upon the actual sighting of the moon, visibility of the moon, rather than the birth of the moon or a calculation for the birth. Secondly, I think it was already mentioned on the program that we should also go by local sightings. I mean, everybody can sit down and agree on a table to work upon a local issue rather than making it into an international issue. People in Pakistan don't make it into an international issue. People in other countries don't make it into an international issue. They either follow Saudi, like some of the Arab countries do, or they completely follow their own local sightings, as they do in Morocco, in Pakistan, and other countries in the Muslim world.
Okay, thank you so much, Mohammed Khan Saab there from Manchester. I apologize, I'm cutting people off. I do apologize in advance, but as you can see, there are hundreds of people wanting to get in touch with us. We've got loads of messages on Facebook and Twitter. Ji Qureshi Saab, you're obviously hearing the debate, discussion, whatever you want to call it, but I want to keep going back to this point. Is there a point, you know, whatever's happened, we can't change what's happened, but we can change the future?
I think that some points are a little bit historical and unfair. My very respected brother said that we are doing it with Morocco. You go back 30 years, people were doing it with Morocco. There were other difficulties which came about, and then they shifted their position. Then ulama again sat down, they decided, and the decision was that if, according to observatory, the moon is expected on horizon, and then we get the information from any Muslim country that moon is sighted, that will be our basis of decision making. Now, we moved on then from there because nobody adhered to it. The issue was again adherence for all schools of thought. They decided to gather one point, one formula, but they did not adhere to it when the implementation time comes. Now, the issue is that, now here there are two issues. One is a global decision and one is local decision. No, both are legitimate. The question is that, let's assume for a minute that you have one Muslim country in the whole world. The whole world is, let's assume, an Islamic, and a news comes from anywhere in the world that the moon is sighted, and it's legitimate, people have seen the moon with their own eyes. Will it be acceptable by the whole globe or not? Now here it is a question that which is very, very legitimate. Now here you either decide that you will have a global decision or you will have a local decision. In local decision again there is problem. Now we don't need to go to this country or that country. If we get the help from the science, and this Eid which happens, I think 3/4 of the people have decided on the basis of observatory. The one who decided on Tuesday was not because Saudi decided it, because the decision was by all school of thought that if the Meccan horizon is observed by the observatory in UK, and they see that there is a moon present after the sunset, not the birth of moon, but the moon is present after the sunset, doesn't matter what is the period of moon, that will be the point of start. So those who agreed to that formula, they implemented on that formula, therefore that was on Tuesday, because the moon was present on Meccan horizon for 4 minutes. Then the other...
Brother, can I just, sorry to interrupt, but that does not mean the moon was visible.
No, that's fine, point taken.
The moon was not visible.
No, point taken,
Just
point taken, but the point was this, that the decision was that if the moon is present after the sun sets. Now the another issue is that the brothers who decided that they will have on Wednesday, this decided on the basis that the observatory here has indicated that the moon is visible on Wednesday. That was legitimate from that point of view.
Tuesday night, yeah.
Tuesday night.
If I can take a call, I'll come back to you. Let's go to London and talk to Ahmed Hussain Saab. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam, Janab.
Ji.
Salam to all the panel.
Welcome to the show.
And basically, you know, it comes down to Quran and Sunnah. You know, like either you see it in your area and you celebrate Eid, or if you don't see it, you finish the 30 rosé and celebrate in your own area. But this, you know, like mashallah, like this Mr. Bey, who's come on, he's a great scholar. You know, he's recognised. But this other wobbler sitting on your panel.
Okay,
as well.
well, thank you very much. Okay, well, I'm sorry, but if you're gonna start making those sort of comments, then you're not welcome here too much, because the whole point of tonight's debate is unity. Okay, we've got differences. Let's be honest. We live in a free society where there are differences. There are differences on different schools of thoughts, and we will not demonize. We will not label, and we will not attack people. And if you want to ring us up and you want to contribute in a positive, constructive way, we will give you the platform. But if you're just going to come on and criticize and make silly remarks like you just did, then you're not welcome on Ummah Channel. Ummah Channel is about bringing the Ummah together. Ji Qureshi, I apologize for that comment.
I think that the solution to move towards the unity is not just what formula you will devise. It is that we need to have a body whose authority is accepted, because the differences will always exist. All the decisions which people have taken are compromised decisions. No decision will be absolute, and no decision is absolute.
Okay, so you talk about organization. Let's go to Dewsbury and talk to Ilyas. Assalamu alaikum.
Ilyas. Wa alaikum salam.
Ji.
Yeah, I think we're not going to reach to a conclusion or solution in a debate. Like you can by all means try, and I applaud you for it. But for the start, I think why we always deny science, observation. We do fudge our issues as always, right? Some ulamas, some scholars, some panelists, they said we are okay to use these observatory or science Saudis are using. The Al-Qura calendar, what I saw, if it is not a forge or false, there was only 29 roses there. No 30 roses. In Arabic, it's written that it's going to be Eid on Tuesday. Now, if that is the fact, then who is claiming that Saudis are doing Ramzan or Eid by citing new moon itself?
Okay, thank you so much, Ilyas there in Dewsbury. Okay, we're talking about organisations. We've got three. Let's just look at the three major Muslim organisations. You've got the Muslim Council of Britain, the umbrella organisation. You've got MINAB, of which I understand you remember, and obviously Maulana Mustafa Raza Khan is also a key member. And then you've got the British Muslim Forum. If you like the three organisations, I would say, are you saying that there would be a Ruh-e Halat committee, a committee of moon sighting established amongst these three organisations?
If I think if they are sincere and they give the commitment.
But you work with them. You work with them, so you should tell me if they are insincere.
No, sincerity only God knows, but I'm putting up what the practical solution there could be. I think the two organizations in which nearly all school of thoughts people present, and that is the Muslim Council of Britain and the MINAB. If everyone give them this allegiance that the decision which they come up with, which based on their formula which they put, everyone put the weight behind it, we can all unite, because it will serve the purpose of the basis which Islam tells us. It will also seek the help from the science, and with also the social difficulties which we are having, it will have the alleviation. And Islamic principle is also this, that make things easy for people, not difficult.
Okay, let's go to Luton and talk to Bilal Saab. Assalamu alaikum, Bilal.
Yeah, walaikum assalam. How are you?
I'm very good. Go ahead, your comment or question, please.
Yeah, it's about the actual moon sighting on the lunar calendar. Why did the lunar calendar say the 29th, the 28th was a new moon, and yet people are saying that it was on when the Tuesday was it that the new moon was sighted? So why haven't the lunar calendars not been updated?
Yeah, okay, calendar. Thank you very much. Bilal Saab from Luton. Thank you for your... Ji Mufti Saab, we talked about the organisations. We talked about MINAB. For those viewers who don't know what MINAB is, it's the Mosque Imam National Advisory Board, set up a few years ago, which was to try to...
2 years.
2 years ago, try to give a platform for the imams and the mosques, a voice on issues around extremism and other community cohesion and other issues. Muslim Council of Britain has been around since 1997. The British Muslim Forum is the body of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jamaat scholars and their masajids that follow Ahl Sunnah wal Jamaat opinion, which is the three groups that exist today in the UK. We can talk about that if you want in a bit more detail. Mufti Sahib, ye jo tanzeema, these organizations, is it, I mean, you're a mufti. Okay, let's go to London. Qasim Saab is on the phone. Let's, Qasim Saab, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Yes, go ahead.
How are you doing well today? You're doing very well, alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah, go ahead.
I got a couple of questions, and I got a solution to unite the Ummah. I got a very good solution, to be honest.
Okay, if you speak closer to the phone, I can hear you.
The question is...
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
That's better, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. The organization you have, yeah, first of all, the पहला जो मेरा सवाल होगा ये होगा कि अगर खुदा ना खास्ता अगर ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन रॉन्ग डेट तय कर दे तो क्या ये कुफारा देंगे हमारे लिए फर्क ये खुदा ना खास्ता अगर रॉन्ग कर रहे हैं एक और दूसरा यूनाइट होने का सबसे अहम तरीका ये है
before we even get to kafara, say let's get them together. Okay, let's get working and get to, we can talk about kafara later on. Let's get them together.
Yeah, together mean that अगर फर्क या अगर ठीक है हम सब लोग इकट्ठे ईद करते हैं तो जो फैसला करने वाली जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है अगर उसने रॉन्ग किया है फैसला तो फिर हमारे लिए क्या है हमारे लिए क्या हाल होगा एक चीज है
Yeah, I mean, okay, but thank you very much, brother.
एक मिनट let me finish.
I haven't got a minute. You've got 10 seconds.
No, okay, 10 seconds. Okay. The thing is, आप इस्लामिक कैलेंडर कैसे एग्जिस्ट करेंगे? नीम हकीम खतरा जान, जो आपका पैनल है नीम हकीम खतरा जान है.
Okay, I don't know what happened there, but I did not cut you off. I promise you.
Yeah, just a point on that. जब भी आप अल्लाह और उसके रसूल की इताअत में कोशिश करते हैं और आप गलती भी करें तो अजर की मुस्तहिक है. लिहाजा वो आदमी जो ये समझते हैं वो जब रसूल और उस अल्लाह की जब बगावत की जाती है तो गुनाह की बात होती है, उसकी इताअत में तो
I
गुनाह
would
नहीं.
assume, Qibla Mufti Saab, I mean, I'm saying you're a Mufti Saab, you know, you're a scholar. Is it possible under these umbrella organizations to set up a UK-wide national Ruh Halat committee which represents all the different school of thoughts, all the national Muslim organizations, who then can agree a formula? Is that possible?
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम. नीम हकीम खतरा जान. कुरान करीम ने इरशाद फरमाया फमन शहीदा मिनकुमुश्शहरा फलयसुम. अगर इस आयत मुबारका को हमने उठाया और इसके ऊपर अमल करना शुरू कर दिया, देखिए ना कुरान ने खुद फैसला फरमाया अतिउल्लाह व अतिउर रसूल व उलिल अम्र मिनकुम फ़इन तनाज़अतुम फ़ी शैइन फ़रुद्दू इलल्लाह वर रसूल. फ़इन तनाज़अतुम फ़ी शैइन, अगर कोई झगड़ा पाया जाए फ़रुद्दू इलल्लाह वर रसूल, अल्लाह और उसके रसूल के पास वापस आ जाए. फमन शाहिद मिनकुमुश्शहरा, बार बार मैं इसकी वजाहत कर रहा हूं और आप लोग इसको नहीं ले रहे. शहादत हो जाए, शाहिदन, शाहिद कौन होता है? जो हाजिर नाजिर होता है, जो देख ले चांद को. ये बर्थ का, मून का बर्थ का जो फार्मूला है, देखें ना, मसला तो ये हुआ कि इस वक्त उम्मत को फार्मूलों ने घेर के रखा है क्योंकि हमने सुन्नत को छोड़ दिया. जब सुन्नत, जो शरई सुन्नत है, वो रोयती शरई है, रोयती शरई को हमने छोड़ा तो ये फार्मूले निकल आए. बर्थ ऑफ द मून फार्मूला है, शरीयत नहीं है. जो साइटिंग ऑफ द मून है वो शरीयत है. और फिर ये जो डिग्री से इतनी डिग्री तक निकल आए तो उसको हम ये रोयत का काबिल समझेंगे, ये भी शरीयत नहीं है. रसूलुल्लाह अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम ने वाज़ेह फरमाया, दुर्र मुख्तार उठाएं, हमारे दरस निज़ामी का मोतबर किताब है, और किताब उस-सौम के अंदर क्या फरमाते ला इब्रता बिक़ौलिल मुक़तीना वलो उदूलन अलल मज़हब. फरमाते मजहब के मुताबिक नजूमिया का कौल मकबूल ही नहीं है. जहां तक मजहब और इस्लाम और शरीयत के मुताबिक और सुन्नत रसूल के मुताबिक नजूमियों का, मुनज्जिमीन का, हिसाब किताब करने वालों का हदीस ने खुद रद्द फरमा दिया है.
Okay, let's take a quick call. Mushtaq Saab is joining us from Bolton. Assalamu alaikum, Mushtaq. Assalamu alaikum. Hello, you're live on my channel.
हेलो अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
Walaikum salam. Go ahead.
भाईजान, ये आप एक हफ्ते से ये जान के लेके बैठे हो. पहले पाकिस्तान के अंदर अपना इकट्ठे करो, बाद में यहाँ मगजमारी.
Shafiq,
Mushtaq, I thank you for bringing a bit of sense of humor to the show. But you know what I'm trying to do, inshallah, is starting, if you like, the starting gun. And inshallah, we've got a diverse range of opinions here in the studio. I want to come to you,
just one clarification which is required from Maulana.
अभी कर लेना कुरान और हदीस की बात में थोड़ा सा वेट कर लेना. कुरान और हदीस के ऊपर आप क्या क्लैरिफिकेशन करेंगे? कुरान और हदीस का नजरिया जो है, सुन्नत रसूल का नजरिया ये है. सहाबे किराम ने क्या किया? हजरत उमर फारूक रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु का दौर खिलाफत आधे दुनिया से ज्यादा के ऊपर था. उन्होंने क्या फरमाया? हर दौर के अंदर, हर वक्त के अंदर इस्लामी गवर्नर जितने थे और इस्लामी काजी जितने थे, अपने इलाके का फैसला खुद फरमाते थे. उसकी वजह यह है, हर इलाके का मतला दूसरे इलाके के मतले से मुख्तलिफ है. जहां तक ग्लोबल डिसीजन का ताल्लुक है, ग्लोबल डिसीजन की शरीयत के अंदर जगह ही नहीं है. क्या रसूलुल्लाह अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम को यह फिक्र नहीं थी कि मेरी उम्मत शमाल में, जनूब में, मगरिब में, मशरिक में होगी, उनके लिए मरकज कायम किया जाए और वहां से ऐलान किया जाए रोजे और ईद का? रसूलुल्लाह अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम को खबर होते हुए रसूलुल्लाह अलैहिस्सलाम ने यह इरशाद फरमाया कि सूमू लिरुयती वाफ्तिरू लिरुयती, रोज चांद को देख कर रोजा करो और चांद को देख के ईद मनाओ. आज हमारी कमी और गलती यह है कि हमने मिन जानिबिल्लाह, जो दीन हमें मिला है, उसको छोड़ा है. हम फार्मूलों के पीछे फिर रहे हैं. जब तक हमने ये फैसला नहीं किया, देखें ना, जो भी ऑब्जर्वेटरी के रूल्स हैं और जो भी कायदे, खुद ऑब्जर्वेटरी वाले मानते हैं कि ये मेजरमेंट जो है ये यकीनी नहीं है. दीन हमारा यकीनी है, शरीयत यकीनी है.
So, let's go to Bolton and talk to Adam. Assalamu alaikum, Adam.
Wa alaikum salam, brother. Give my salams to all of the panel and all the viewers of my channel.
Thank you. Go ahead. Your question or comment, please.
Basically, we're talking about organizations, and as far as I know, the Lancashire County Council of Mosques, Leicestershire County Council, all the counties in the UK, all of the people in them counties are from one sect. How can we unite? You look at them, you ask your panel.
Okay, Adam, can I give you something which Maulana Mustafa Saab said, Rochdale. We've got Rochdale Council of Mosque, and alhamdulillah, it's a matter of pride for us. I often use the opportunity to promote our own town, but alhamdulillah, we have a formula, locally agreed, and alhamdulillah, the UK Islamic Mission is part of that agreement, the Tablighi Jamaat, Masajid is part of that, the Brailwis are part of that, alhamdulillah, and we've had, I think for about 13 years, alhamdulillah, we've had unity in Rochdale, and I think that concept, and we will try to get one of the members of the Ruhilat Committee in Rochdale on the phone very shortly, Tariq Bhai from Golden Mosque. So I'm just saying to you, you know, when you say all the county mosques are one firqa, actually that's not very true, because in Rochdale they represent different strands of school of thoughts, and we've got unity.
I think what we need to do is look into a bit more and get all the sects from the Ummah into these councils. Then we can unite.
Okay, Jazakallah, thank you much.
Thank you,
as much as we want to do local decision making in terms of local councils, we want to talk a bit more about a national, because Ummah channel is a national TV channel, and we want a United Kingdom solution. जी
मैं एक गुजारिश करूं, कुरान करीम की एक आयत मुबारका, बारी ताला ने इरशाद फरमाया मोमिनीन मुसलमानों के बारे में, इन यत्तबिऊन इल्ला ज़न्न व इनहुम इल्ला यखरुसून, इरशाद फरमाया ये मोमिनीन वो लोग नहीं है जो शुकूक व शुबहात के पीछे, अटकीलियाँ फैलाने के पीछे ये फिरेंगे, ये यकीनी लोग हैं। हमारा दीन यकीन की तरफ लेके जाने वाला है। जहाँ तक आपने रोयत हिलाल कमेटी की बात की है, ये सबसे बेहतरीन और सबसे वाहिद हल यही है कि जितनी भी जमातें हैं वो शरीयत को देखे। फार्मूले जितने हैं ना वो तो आउट ऑफ द विंडो है, वो तो शरीयत है ही नहीं। हमने बात करनी है शरीयत की। मुसीबत ये है कि जो काम उलमा को करना चाहिए था वो चांद सितारों के देखने वाले, शुमार रखने वाले कर रहे हैं। आज हमारे ऊपर तप्पड़ इसलिए पड़ रहे हैं। अब भी वक्त है, अगर तमाम जमातें इकट्ठी होकर रोयत हिलाल कमेटी बनाए और उसके अंदर रोयत हिलाल को नाफिज करें, फार्मूलों को और डिग्रीज को बाहर निकालकर, जब तक हम रोयत हिलाल का निफाज नहीं करेंगे, अगर 29वीं को नहीं नजर आया 30 पूरे कर ले, उससे आइंदा महीने का शुमार कर ले। दौर नबूवत में अगर ये कायम रहा, दौर खुलफाए राशिदीन में अगर ये कायम रहा, आज क्यों हमारे ऊपर क्या मुसीबत पड़ी कि हम इसको लागू नहीं कर सकते। और जब तक, मैं बार बार ये जुमला दोहरा रहा हूं, जब तक हम सुन्नत की तरफ नहीं आएंगे और रसूलुल्लाह अलैहिस्सलाम की इरशादात की तरफ नहीं आएंगे, जितने भी आप हिसाब किताब कर ले, कहीं पर मरकरी नजर आएगा चांद के वजह से, चांद को लोग छोड़ेंगे और मरकरी को देखेंगे, कहीं पर बर्थ ऑफ द मून, और फिर जो है ये दूसरे मसाइल जितने हैं, डिग्रीज का, कोई कहता है कि डिग्रीज इतनी है, कोई कहता है कि ईद से ये सूरज के गुरूब से पहले वो नजर नहीं आया, सूरज के गुरूब के बाद नजर नहीं आया, जितने भी ये मसाइल है ये ऑब्जर्वेटरी के जो हाइपोथेसिस है उसकी वजह से ये क्रिएटेड है। जब तक ये हाइपोथेसिस छोड़कर दीन और यकीन की तरफ हम नहीं आएंगे, ये मसला नहीं होगा।
If it's okay, I'll take a quick call and I'll come back to you, and then we'll go to Qayyum Sahab. Let's go to the city of Bradford and talk to Jamil Sahab. Assalamu alaikum, Jamil.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Go ahead, your question or comment, please.
सबसे पहले आप तमाम पैनल को मेरी तरफ से अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम।
अभी जो मुफ्ती साहब अभी फरमा रहे थे, सब मैं यही कहना चाहता हूँ कि वो बिल्कुल 100% सही कह रहे थे कि वाकई आज अगर हम प्रॉफेट सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की सुन्नत के मुताबिक अगर हम चलना शुरू कर रहे हैं तो मेरे ख्याल में पूरी दुनिया में कोई भी जो ना ये आगे पीछे बात ना करे, और बिल्कुल 100% जो ना अभी जो मुफ्ती साहब फरमा रहे थे बिल्कुल 100%।
Thank you so much, Jamil Sahab there, just reiterating what Mufti Sahab is saying. Thank you so much for your call. Ji Qureshi Sahab, you're hearing debate, you're hearing what
असल
people
में
are saying.
ऐसे महसूस होता है कि बाज़ लोग ये महसूस कर रहे हैं कि जैसे लोग सुन्नत पर अमल नहीं करना चाहते या कुरान पर अमल नहीं करना चाहते। मसला ये है,
अगर करते
मैं अभी जस्ट अ पॉइंट, जस्ट अ क्वेश्चन
by the phone calls which are coming to, नहीं सुनिए मेरी बात, you know, I don't know why we made deen so complicated. Okay, मैं ब्रिटिश यहाँ ब्रिटेन में रहता हूँ, and I've been here all my life, Shafiq has, and I'm sure all you have. One no pain no gain. जब मिसट्रस्ट हो जाए ना, अब फोन कॉल्स आते हैं तो वो जो हमारे नाजरीन देख रहे हैं वो ये देख रहे हैं कि ये पैनल यहाँ बैठा हुआ है, तो ये जो there is mistrust. So some people come to a point where they become rude and obnoxious, and this is not good. Fact is, this is a very, very serious issue. That's why Shafiq Sahab has actually brought this on the table, and we need to talk in a very reasonable manner between all of us. We need to work together. It's a difficult thing, and we can't move forward until we agree. And Qibla Mufti Sahab, what he's saying is absolutely 100% true. There's no There is no ifs and there is no buts. But we must understand that we need to work together, and we don't want to start laughing at one each other, because there is the world watching us, and we need to work together. We need to take this issue very, very seriously, and we need to move forward.
Thank you so much, Qayyum Sahib. You're very assertive. I'm impressed. I didn't know you Yorkshire people were so assertive.
The issue just...
if I could take one call, and I promise you I will come next to you, and then we'll go to Maulana Mustafa as well. Mohsin is joining us from Milton Keynes. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Go ahead, your question or comment, please.
Yeah, first of all, comment. Maulana Sahib said that it's a hypothesis that the moon will occur at so-and-so place. I would like to say to Maulana Sahib, it's not a hypothesis, it's a fact. It's a mathematical fact. We can prove mathematically.
So why they see the Mercury? Why they see the Mercury instead of the moon just a week before?
Maulana Sahib, can I first finish? It's a mathematical fact. We can prove it mathematically where you will see the moon, at what horizon, or what angle, at what degree. There's no two way
brother,
about
the problem is because of the Hadith Mubarakah.
Mufti Sahib, let brother finish. Mohsin, finish, please. Finish your point,
It's a mathematical fact. And you said about seeing it. Now you can see it in two manners, with your eyes or with your akal. Yeah? We rather see it with our akal, because akal tells us it's at so-and-so angle. We can't miss it. And now you're bringing in things which are irrelevant. You have to use
the
akal,
Hadith cannot be, the Hadith cannot be irrelevant.
Okay,
Number one is akal.
Okay.
Number two is everything else.
Okay,
That's basically what I like to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have got to make one point now
Mufti
to answer this
Sahib,
question.
Mohsin, thank you so much. Again, tonight is about everybody being given a platform to air their views, and we've got an open platform. So as long as you're respectful towards our panelists and the different groups in our community, you're very welcome to come on and make your point. And there will be obvious people who will disagree with your points. Mufti Sahib, and then
I would just say a few things. The brother said that this is a mathematical fact. And any mathematical fact which could be proven to me in this world, I would surrender myself. There is no fact in mathematics. It's all calculations and counting. And I give you an example. A meter.
Okay, we're just going to, just for 5 seconds, we're going to take the next call, and then we're going to hold the calls for just 5 minutes. So because I'm really conscious, Qureshi Sahib is waiting, and I'm constantly having to go to the call. So let's take the next call from Leicester, and then we'll come to Qureshi Sahib. Ji. Hello, you're live in Ummah channel.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Go ahead, your question or comment, please. Okay, if you turn your TV off,
मैं एक बात करना चाहता हूँ.
जी, अगर आप टीवी आवाज बंद करेंगे तो फिर हम आपसे बात कर सकेंगे.
ओके, मैं ये कल भी ये बात हुई थी ये उम्मा चैनल के ऊपर, और हमारे मौलाना ने बोला था कि लातों के बुत बातों से नहीं मानते. वो सच ही बताया था. उम्मा चैनल बातों से मनाना चाहते हैं.
Okay, I don't know what happened there, but
एक मिनट वो सवाल आया था ना, उसकी वजाहत मैं कर लूं. मसला ये है कि साहब कहते हैं जनाब के ये जो है हाइपोथेसिस नहीं है. एक मीटर बना है, वो न्यूयॉर्क में है. थ्रू आउट द ग्लोब जितने भी मीटर्स है, वो सारे मीटर क्या उस साइज और उस लेंथ का है? कभी भी नहीं. तो फिर उन तमाम मीटर्स को हम एक मीटर क्यों मानते हैं? ये हाइपोथेसिस नहीं तो और क्या है? अगर एक मीटर से लेकर, अच्छा खुद ऑब्जर्वेटरी वाले डिग्री के ऊपर बुनियाद रखते बात करते हैं. एक मिनट, डिग्री के ऊपर बुनियाद करके बात रखते हैं. डिग्री की असल हैसियत क्या है? डिग्री के अंदर 0.05 डिफरेंस लेस और मोर हो सकता है. अब अगर ये हाइपोथेसिस नहीं है तो और क्या है? शरीयत वाहिद यकीन है. अगर शरीयत को छोड़कर जिन जन्नियात की तरफ, और हुजूर फरमाते, ये साहब कहते हैं इधर उधर की बातें करते, हुजूर फरमाते ला नक्तुब वला नहसिब. फिर क्या फरमाया? अशहरो, महीना क्या है? हिसाब किताब वालों को दावती रसूल दे रहा हूं. महीना क्या है? फरमाया हा खजा वहा खजा वहा खजा औ अशहरो हा खजा वहा खजा वहा खजा. हुजूर ने फरमाया महीना या 29 का है या 30 का है. हिसाब किताब करने वालों, मैं हुजूर के एक गुफ्त पर भी, एक हदीस पर भी तमाम हिसाब किताब करने को कुर्बान करने वाला आदमी हूं. आज जो लोग भी हिसाब किताब को यकीन मानते हैं वो यकीन माने. हम फिक्र रसूल को यकीन मानते हैं. जहां तक रसूलुल्लाह अलैहि सलाम, आखिरी बात, फिर ये बात उन लोगों को मरकरी क्यों नजर आया? और उन लोगों ने फिर ये क्यों कहा कि हमको चांद नहीं मरकरी नजर आया है? आज भी 50 साल तक हम, आप पीछे भी जाए आगे भी जाए, जब तक रोयत.
But let's be fair to the Saudi government. The Saudi government have said they've not issued any statement to this disregard. to be fair to the
अच्छा,
Saudis.
पहले मैं सऊदी की बात नहीं कर रहा।
नहीं, मैं आप वो आप बात कर रहे थे क्योंकि quite a few callers are criticizing the
मैं
Saudis.
शहादत की बात कर रहा हूँ, कुरान ने जो फार्मूला दिया है, फमन शहीद मिनकुम अश-शहरा।
I'm just saying that the Saudi government, whilst we've seen news articles from various different news channels, Al Arabiya, Al Jazeera, Arab News, Kuwaiti News, Qatari News, Iran, the Farsi news agency as well. We've seen all these.
Shafiq bhai, the problem
Hey,
is-
Mufti Saab, let me just, I promise you, I will come back to you, but I just want to make it clear that the Saudi government, I have a statement from the embassy today saying they do not support any statement in regards to what has been said on their behalf. They reject that. I think it's important to put that on record because we want to be fair. I've got one call. If you allow me, I'll take that one call and then I'll come to you, and I promise you I won't interrupt you. We've got a caller from Luton. Assalamu alaikum, brother or sister.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and my salam to the respected panel.
Okay, go ahead with your question, please.
My question is that Mufti Saab, what he's saying that we have to come back to Sunnah of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I think he is 100% right, and there's no big akal than Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. In the whole universe, nobody can claim they have akal like Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And Allah says in the Quran, whatever Prophet gives you, take it, and wherever he stops you, you stop. So the Mufti Saab 100% right.
Okay, thank you very much. It seems, thank you so much for your comments. I think you more or less reiterate what Mufti Saab has already said.
एक जुमला कहना चाहता हूँ, the last nail on the graveyard.
And then I want to.
एक जुमला वो ये कि ये साहब तो कहते हैं कि ये ज़न्नियात नहीं है ना, ये तो क्या दीन के बारे में ज़न है ये? बस ये जवाब मुझे दे दे कि क्या दीन ज़न है या दीन यकीन है। अगर दीन यकीन है तो दीन के मुकाबले में फिर जो भी है वो ज़न है, और जो दीन के मुकाबले में नहीं वो फिर यकीन है। एक बात। दूसरी बात ये कि ये साहब जो कहते हैं कि ये यकीन है, तो रसूलुल्लाह अलैहिस्सलाम को इस यकीन का इल्म नहीं था कि इस यकीन को छोड़कर रसूल ने फरमाया सूमु लिरुयती 29 और 30 का हिसाब करते रहो हर महीना। इसीलिए हर महीना 29 और 30 का हिसाब रखने के लिए हमें, वरना हुजूर ये फार्मूला नहीं बयान कर सकते थे।
We explore this.
I think that
I'm going to hold the calls.
for you as well. I think there
let's
is
hold the calls and let's see what you've got to say.
What we are missing the point is that when this complexion of Ruyat came, month after month consistently, you cannot see the moon in this country. There is either cloudy or weather conditions. Second point is that the knowledge. You know, if anybody sit here and start saying that they're mathematicians and they're astrologers or they're astronomers, it's going to be a difficult situation. We are living in a very complex world, and Quran guides us to go and attain those knowledges. Quran guides us, the whole world is yours. So if somebody is now today reaching to the moon or reaching to the everywhere, and we say that this is without any calculations, that is just not right. So therefore, I think that it's here when we are debating, first thing we should take out of the equation, and that is that anybody is trying to disobey Prophet. We all want to obey Prophet, but there is a knowledge which exists which we should open the eyes towards. Otherwise, all what we do today is very different. What Prophet ﷺ, many of the things which did not happen in his time because that knowledge did not exist. Quran and Sunnah is our guidance. Therefore, I think that we have to move on, and there is a lot of solutions which are practically available. What Maulana is saying has been debate for the last 30 years. It is the basis of that debate, but there are a lot of things which has developed on top of it which people have progressed. And I think we have to go forward and think about it, that how we will resolve that, and there is resolutions in front of us. This time, 3/4 of the population has decided on the basis of observatory, and that is a fact.
Okay, so let me I want to explore this, and I've got an open mind on this. Yeah. The observatory is saying, let's just take this Eid. The observatory is clearly saying that the moon was not visible on a Tuesday. On the Monday night, but was visible on a Tuesday. And so on that basis, that can be unity amongst the ulama and the Muslim organizations. You're involved in MINAB, you're involved in the MCB.
I told you that the two reasons because of which this dispute came about. One was the formula which was decided between all schools of thought in Birmingham. Just one second, I'll leave the way. The formula was one that if on the Meccan horizon, the moon is expected after the sunset, that will be the point of decision. So a group has followed this time that particular formula which they have been following for quite some time. Okay. The other group which is saying that observatory here and the horizon here is that there was no moon expected, that which will be after the sunset. seeable or even present.
Visible, yeah.
So they have decided on those bases. So therefore, both of these parties have decided, and they have a room and they have a reason to decide upon.
But
so therefore, I think
there is room
there is room to improve.
There's room to improve,
Yes.
and there's room to come together.
Come together.
And you work with these people. You know these people. You know these ulama who follow.
I think there
who
is
follow
a
the method of
real
sunset
possibility.
in the Saudi method or whichever opinion
There is
that
no
is.
Saudi method. I think this is a misnomer, really.
It's a misnomer.
It's misnomer.
Okay, can I
It is
come
just
on- yeah.
accusation of the people continuously naming the country. Nobody tells you to obey or have a power to implement.
And let's be fair to the Saudi government. I've said this many times on my channel. I've met with the Saudi foreign minister 2 years ago in London at the G20 summit. I had this conversation with him, and he was very clear. Prince Saud Faisal was very clear. He says very openly, we do not ask people to follow us. You do what you want to do in the United Kingdom. Do not follow us. And so let's be fair to the Saudis. When people blame the Saudis, I think it's a bit unfair because the Saudis themselves are saying don't follow us. So if the people are following Saudi, then the responsibility should be, the anger and the frustration, the criticism should be directed towards the people who follow Saudi, not the Saudi government itself.
Yeah,
Am I right in that interpretation?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Just to clarify one point, when our brother Qureshi Saab.
I apologize. Can we just take this call? The sister is waiting from Luton. There's a sister from Luton, I hope. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Walaikum salam.
Welcome to the show. Your question or a comment?
I just have a few comments actually, and it's just general comments from observation. If you could just hear me out. Firstly, I think you as a presenter, you're brilliant. I think you're quite neutral. I think other presenters on the show that you had yesterday and today, their tone in speech is very, very aggressive. And actually, instead of spreading kind of unity within the community, I think you've created a lot of division. And specifically, the Mufti Saab to your left, I find him really, really aggressive. You know,
I would say, and I'm sat next to him, I would say he's passionate. Passionate rather than aggressive. I think it's a bit unfair to call him a bit aggressive. He's very passionate because he's obviously.
No, I'm not speaking. I'm not just speaking on behalf of myself. I'm speaking on behalf of my family. And
okay.
So if you could let me speak.
Bismillah.
Yeah, and I think he's really biased as well. Whereas you come across quite neutral, and I think he's really biased and really aggressive. And I just think that, you know, as a community, we need to be, you know, we need to have a lot more unity instead of trying to divide the community. Especially after your yesterday's debate, I think that's created a lot of division within the London community, at least.
Okay, well, what we would say to the people in Luton and London, the whole point of putting this show together is you've got a different viewpoint. Mufti Saab is entitled to his view, and he's articulating that in a passionate way. And equally, Abdul Hamid Qureshi Saab.
You need to learn how to.
Let me finish, sister.
You need to learn.
Sister, let me finish, please. Please let me finish. Okay.
No, this is exactly what you guys are doing.
Yes, sister, if you want to have a conversation with me, it would help if you listen to me whilst I'm listening to you as well. Abdul Hamid Qureshi Saab is here from a very major Muslim organisation in the UK. Sister, if you're going to interrupt me, I'm just going to cut you off. It's not going to be a nice conversation we're going to have.
What you're doing to people that have fair points, you're just cutting them off.
If you let me finish my point, I'll let you come back in. Please, just have some patience. What I'm saying is, Abdul Hamid Qureshi Saab is here. He's working actively in the community. He represents, works actively.
Shafiq, just a point. I'm not representing any organization.
I know you.
Discussion.
Yes,
my engagement is deeper.
But you're engaged in the UK Islamic Mission, which is a reputable, a large Muslim organization working across the country. So we've got a diverse range of opinions here in the studio. Sister, do you want to come back? No, I think she's gone. But it would help. I promise you, viewers, I will let you have a conversation with the scholars and the guests, but let the scholars respond to you, and I ask the scholars and the guests to allow you to respond. But please do keep it civil. We can't have a conversation. Our viewers can't listen to two conversations at the same time.
Yeah, I was just addressing one of the points made by my honourable brother Qureshi Saab. What he mentioned was that this formula or criteria that was agreed on, in actual fact, that was not agreed upon by everybody, because this was a formula which was devised especially by the Regent Park's Mosque and those people that are associated with them. And the criteria and that formula basically just states, and it's the same formula that Saudi Arabia Qura calendar adopts. The formula or criteria that we have adopted, and it's exactly what Mufti Saab says, and I salute him for making that point, is the whole problem in this discussion is that we have left the Sunnah. We have left the citing of the new moon, and in no part of our history have we ever left the criteria of moon visibility. Our problem with following Saudi announcement, it's nothing wrong with Saudi per se, it's that the sightings are not based on moon visibility, as you just mentioned yourself, it's based on calculations of the birth of the new moon. Now there's another point I'd like to make.
Just Sheikh, that the point that you mentioned that we did that because of Saudi, that's wrong.
It's the same criteria.
No, not same criteria.
It's the same criteria that Saudi adopts.
Al-Qura does not say that the moon will be present after the sun set. The formula which I am stating was saying that after the sun sets, the moon is still present on the skies. So therefore, there is a difference between
let me come on to this.
When you say new moon, that's a different thing. When you say the moon's presence after the sunset,
no, but the thing is, even the moon's presence after sunset has no basis absolutely in Sharia according to calculations. The fact of the matter is that Regent Sparks Mosque has always announced Eid, Ramadan, and all the new months according to Saudi Arabia. No, but so it's besides the point.
You see,
this is the problem.
Can I just make a comment? Just 1 second. My common sense tells me, like you've just mentioned about the Regent Mosque. I've lived in the UK all my life. All the timetables that come from all the mosques, whether it's London, Luton, Bradford, it's under the European law. I mean, European timings. Yes? Never followed in Saudis. Yes. Why don't we read Shah Namaz with Saudis?
Okay,
and
I promise we will explore this very second. Let's take one more call. Asad Saab from Derby. Walaikum salam. Asad, go ahead. Your question or comment, please.
Comment is basically these people, alhamdulillah, you got Mufti Saab there, alhamdulillah, they are doing a great job of what they're doing.
I can't hear you, brother.
So, alhamdulillah, Mufti Saab is doing a great job. Asana Saranata, these ulama, especially being a Mufti, we shouldn't have people come in and saying things about them in such a manner as I've already heard on this year. That really disappoints me, because if we cannot respect our alim who teaches the way of the Quran and Sunnah to put on the right path, that's showing you how much most people nowadays have left the Sunnah. You understand? And obviously, like the other the comment you just made while I've been holding, I've been listening to the guy on about London and this, that. I believe that we should follow the ulama and Sunnah and the people of our own local community or what decisions they make, rather than people from all other countries.
Okay, I think, Asad, I think you know that's the opinion of the Saudi government as well. The Saudi government are very clear; they don't want people to follow them. We want to, Asad Bhai, we want to see a formula agreed within the United Kingdom with all the different school of thoughts, and inshallah that's something that I'm committed to on my channel, will be committed to do. Jazakallah. Asad, it is, I hope it's a time for our break.
Okay, take care.
Do I have a chance to give a very short fatwa written by Sheikh Uthaymeen? It's very short, it's quite apt for this program. The question asked in this fatwa, it's in his Fatawa Islami you can find, should we abide by the local sighting in determining the Eid al-Adha, or should we follow the pilgrims schedule, knowing that North American sighting of Crescent may come a day before Saudi Arabia's sighting? You should abide by the city you're living in. This is what Sheikh Uthaymeen says. Now then the question says, that means that we will fast on the 9th of Zul-Hijjah of North America and pray Eid on the 10th of Zul-Hijjah of North America. Yes, and this is what you should do without any haraj. In other words, it doesn't matter when Hajj is taking place in Saudi Arabia, what you should be doing is following your own local sighting. Now just a very quick point on this. Once we can get onto that we should be following the Sunnah and we should stick to moon sighting, once we come onto this point, that's when we can start discussing things like local sighting and global sightings. And just one point there to make is that there is actually no such thing really as a full global sighting. That's because we know the Earth is a globe and the moon is in different positions in different parts of the world at different times. It's actually impossible to have one Eid. For example, because of the difference in hours, because of the latitude of different countries and longitude, it's not possible for all of us to fast and on the same day or do Eid on the same day. There's a difference of 12 hours and even more in certain occasions. So we can't have a fully global Eid. It's just not possible scientifically or geographically. But what we can do is at least come on the basis and start talking about a criteria which is based on the Quran and the Sunnah. And just one quick point here to mention is, as Mufti Sahib was mentioning, that after this we can talk about the discussion of whether we should entertain at all ilmul hay'a, for example, the knowledge of knowledge of using mathematical calculations of astronomy. This is an issue.
The observatory.
Yeah, can we use the observatory? Now this is an issue which the fuqaha have differed upon. The first thing I would like to say is that we should at least use this information when it comes to really strange moon sighting reports. If we can use the tool of the observatories and the experts in astronomy, that if we find a kind of an extraordinary moon sighting claim, which contradicts all the scientific data out there, then can we use astronomical information to reject that? And Imam Subki is of the view, Imam Subki in his Fatawa Subki, he writes that if a announcement is made of somebody's claims to sight the moon when it is scientifically impossible to do so, then on that basis the shahada will be rejected, because the shahada cannot be given on mustahilat, meaning on muhalat, on impossibilities. So perhaps we can start using scientific information on this basis. Other scholars have been much more lenient. Imam Subki, for example, himself actually says, he actually believes, before that I'll give a quote of Imam Ibn Daqiq al-Eid. What he says is that the qawl of the munajjimeen and astronomers, just last point, is rejected because they give information based on the birth of the new moon. But if these same astronomers are giving calculations based upon the visibility of the new moon, then we can use the mathematical calculations and the hisab of these scholars, because it's based on visibility, it's not based on the birth of the new moon. And the criteria among scientists today is actually agreed upon across the scientists and astronomers, that they have a certain criteria, and if all of these different criteria are met, these different factors are met, then the moon visibility is possible. And there is actually agreement among all the scientists on this. So these are different ideas that we can explore once we come on to the real issue.
Okay, it's time for a break. Inshallah, we will see you on the other side of this. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Debate Night, live from our studios here in Blackburn. I'm Mohammed Shafiq, your host. Tonight we're talking about, we want to finish this Eid moon sighting debate until next year. But yeah, this is something which we do every year, but alhamdulillah, we want to, in previous years, I don't know what's happened, but this year what we want to do is we want to come to a conclusion. And alhamdulillah, we've got a diverse range of opinions here in the studio, and then hopefully by the end of this debate, we will come up with a solution. And we will then task Ummah Channel to talk to those organisations to see if we can bring that solution up. And if I'm honest, this is not an issue for you at home, with the utmost respect. ये अवाम का मामला नहीं है, ये उलमा का मामला है, और ये हमारे जो astrologers, हमारे जो leadership, this is about them taking their responsibility. It's not about me and you at home being armchair critics. It's about them saying, yes, we've got an issue, we've got to deal with this, let's come together and deal with it. It's an issue. Okay, we're going to take one more call, and then we're going to pause for a while in the calls, because I want to hear a bit more from our guests, and then we'll get some more calls in a bit later. Mahmood Saab is on the phone. Let's welcome Mahmood Saab. Assalamu alaikum. Ji, assalamu alaikum. You're live on Ummah Channel.
Walaikum salam.
Muhammad Hussain.
Yeah.
How are you, my friend?
Alhamdulillah.
What would you like to say tonight? You sound like you're a young guy. How old are you?
12.
MashaAllah. And I assume, how do you feel about when there's two Eids and you're in the same school or in the same community?
Okay. I'd like to say Assalamu alaikum to all the panel, especially to my teacher, Mufti Sahab.
Okay.
Quick comment. The only way, as Mufti Sahab said, the only way the Ummah can unite is to follow the true teachings of the Holy Prophet and the Holy Quran. That is the only way. Walaikum salam.
Thank you so much, Mahmood Hussain. MashaAllah, you're 12, so it's very brave that you've come on and expressed those views. Well done. Thank you, Mahmood Saab. Okay, we're going to pause on the calls, and we're going to speak to our panellists. And hopefully, for the next 15 minutes or so, we're just not going to take any calls. We're going to listen to our panellists. And hopefully, I hope my panellists will be constructive in the time they take to articulate their viewpoints. Ji, Maulana Mustafa Saab, I think you were talking before we went for our break.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the Quran there's a verse, وَالْقَمَرَ قَدَّرْنَاهُ مَنَازِلًا. And the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam in a hadith says, سُومُوا لِرُؤْيَتِهِ وَأَفْتِرُوا لِرُؤْيَتِهِ فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ فَأَكْمِلُوا الْإِدَّةَ ثَلَاثِينَ. But there's another hadith in Sahih al-Muslim which says, it does not talk about completing 30 days, but it says, فَقْدِرُوا لَهُ. In other words, that there's one hadith about completing 30 days, but there is another hadith which some scholars of the Ummah of Islam, for example, there is a great Imam, a great Tabi called Imam Abdullah Mutarraf ibn Shukhair. He's a great scholar, a great Tabi, and he was an expert in astronomy as well. In Bidayatul Mujtahid you can find his qawl, and Imam Shafi says that if it was not for the qawl of Imam Shukhair, what he stated regarding this verse and this hadith, then I would never have considered scientific and astronomical information. Based upon his qawl that we can also depend and take scientific and astronomical information, Imam Shafi says that we should use this also. Now I'm not saying because there are different aqwal, for example some of the ones that Mufti Sahib mentioned as well, but my point is, for example, that in some of these announcements that are made, on two bases, for two reasons we can find that these announcements are not credible. One is based on the astronomical and scientific information, and the other reason is by actual independent witnesses. Independent witnesses on the ground, for example, I've got a report by ICOP here, Islamic Crescent's Observations Project. There are people who are on the ground here, and if you give me a permission, just very briefly, I'll say Saudi Arabia, not seen. ICOP member, engineer Qamaruddin from Medina City in Medina State mentioned that the sky was clear. The atmospheric condition was superb. And remember, for Eid al-Fitr, the condition is not only one witness, but it is two witnesses, and that is if the sky is not clear, if the horizon is not clear. If the sky is clear as it was on that day, on Monday now in Saudi Arabia, then you need a jam'un ghafir. Yes, you need a whole large mass of people. A whole mass of people is required to say that they saw the moon, because there is no reason why only one or two people saw the moon but the rest of the people didn't see the moon because it was a clear sky. So anyway, that's a fiqh issue on its own, that if a large number of people do not report that the moon was sighted and the sky was clear, it will be rejected. The crescent was not seen by the naked eye, the crescent was not seen by binocular, the crescent was not seen by telescope, the crescent was not seen by CCD imaging. Engineer Qamaruddin said, Abdul Aziz Raji of Wifaqul Ulama, that's the Deobandi organization, was visiting Saudi Arabia for Umrah. He has reported joining the official Medina Hilal committee with 15 others from the UK, including many scholars. The sky condition was absolutely clear, but none of the group members were able to sight the Hilal. None of the other official Hilal committee astronomers were able to sight the Hilal either.
This is on Monday night?
Even with their telescopes,
This
is
is
on Monday night.
Okay.
However, a few individuals from Riyadh have claimed sighting, and the Supreme Court has accepted their claims. May Allah Ta'ala forgive us all for our mistakes and wish everybody a happy Eid. Now the problem here, you see, is that it's not just about astronomical and scientific information, it's about independent experts and observers saying that the moon is not visible, the moon was not sighted, the moon was not sighted in that area. This is what our problem is, that independent observers, and I actually have a whole, I've actually some documents here, which is a communication between Muhammad Auda, who was the head of Islamic Crescent's Observation Project, and the Saudi authorities, astronomical societies there that are in charge of announcing the new months. And in this, he's got photocopies, your camera probably cannot show, it's quite faint, but you can see it on the ICOP website. There's actually photocopies of the original communications where they have admitted themselves, I mean forget if Saudi have admitted it or not on the news, there are communications which Saudi Arabia have stated here categorically that their announcements are not based on the visibility of the moon, but they are based on the birth of the new moon and other such things which are not connected to visibility. So what I would like to say today is that, I mean, I've got lots of information here. I've got things from 10 years ago from Sheikh Salman Zafar, who went to Saudi Arabia, carried out a thorough investigation and wrote a complete report that he went out with one of the 6 committees in Saudi Arabia that is charged for sighting the new moon. None of the committees see the moon, yet some anonymous person who nobody knows who they are, we don't know what this shahada is, has claimed that they have saw the moon. And these announcements that are made in accordance to the Al-Qur'an calendar.
Maulana, I just ask one more question. We live in the 21st century, where, for example, when I was in Pakistan last year, I was sat in my hotel room watching live coverage of the moon sighting. Ruh Hayat Committee, Mufti Munib Rahman, I think it was, reporting on the moon being sighted in Karachi. And they show the live image of the moon being sighted. So it's possible in 21st century that whoever is claiming that the moon has been sighted, that they produce video evidence to prove that point.
It's true, but in Sharia, the honest matter of the fact is that video evidence does not hold authority. The reason for that is that it can easily be concocted and forged.
Oh,
for example, what happens a lot on Islam channel every year, I mean, I don't want to, sorry, perhaps I shouldn't name a specific channel, but it's a matter of fact, and your viewers will know, every year at this specific time, they do show a picture of the crescent. I'm not sure if they did it this year, but they have been doing it in previous years. Now, they do not explicitly say that this is the crescent that has been sighted today. They just show a picture of the crescent and are making the announcement that Eid is tomorrow. Now, people are being deceived. In other words, there's implicitly the message is going out that this is the actual crescent that has been seen, which is not the case. What we should do is, if there is shahada, we should say, who are these witnesses? Bring them forward. Who are these witnesses? Why do we not know about them? They should take shahada in front of the qadi. And if this is established, then we can start talking about other issues. But the fact of the matter is that there is no shahada, and there's no shahada, and there is also no astronomical and scientific information that supports it.
Obviously, for balanced purposes, I'm sure Islam Channel would disagree with that point if it was put to them. I have to do that for obvious reasons. Ji Qureshi Sahab, I promised that I would give you at least 3-4 minutes without any interruption. We've stopped the call, so we want to hear from you. Please.
Here again we have a difficulty. Mullah Muhtaram has just again stuck his point with the Saudi Arabia, whereas we are saying that we have to provide the solution here. Many of the people are saying Saudi is irrelevant to us. Okay, maybe a segment of community follows them in a certain way, but that is not the way which we are proposing today here to take it forward. Are those people who have done on Tuesday Eid was absolutely following the Saudis? It's not. I am part of one of the organization, and I reiterated many times that what were the bases upon which the decision was taken, and there were legitimate bases, and that's, and therefore I understand both sides. That's why I say that both are legitimate. We have a difficulty in finding the solution because the issue is complex. It is solvable, and we focus on
was
here.
Was the decision based on moon visibility?
Yeah, the decision which was followed by us based on the following point. It was agreed between all organizations, as I was informed many years back in Birmingham, that if we will follow the horizon of Makkah, and Observatory of Britain will report whether the moon is present after.
No, visible. I mean, present is such a vague word. Absolutely. We have to nail that.
No, I'm just stating the decision. I'm not disputing. I'm just stating what was the basis. The basis was that if the moon is present on the horizon after the sunset, that was the point of agreement, and all the people present was agreed with that. No, it may be. I mean, you may have objection with that. Somebody will say that it has.
The meaning of present, nobody knows what that means.
No, to some, there are many. You see, if you go on to global position of horizon.
He is ru'ya, that is the word mentioned. Look, it says in the Quran, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَهِلَّةِ. Anil ahilla, the hilal is what we are talking about. That's what we need to come to.
What I'm trying to put forward, the basis upon which that decision was taken, and it was not because Saudi has decided that. I am just refuting this point that when every time we make a discussion, we come to Saudis. I may have many objections to them, and I may agree with many of their points. But this is a particular point that maybe a segment follow like that.
So
but many of the people,
all our announcements are the same as Saudi Arabia.
No. Many of the points which I am saying regarding the Tuesday Eid was not because Saudi has decided like
Sorry,
that.
Chris, I know this is Shafiq's job, he's the presenter, but just last question. Has there ever been a time when you have made an announcement that is different from Saudi Arabia?
Let me tell you that the two of the UK Islamic Missions organization in Rochdale decided with the local community, because UK Islamic Mission has a very open approach to these issues. One, that whatever decision we are reaching, it is a compromise decision, that's what we feel. Therefore, we try to see how Muslims can be united. At times, we have made our branches independent.
Ask you on that point, because UK Islamic Mission is a national organization. But you've given freedom
to the branches.
To the different branches. So like, for example, in Rochdale.
And guidance.
In Rochdale, for example, UK Islamic Mission, we know you've got 2 mosques of UK Islamic Mission in Rochdale, Medina Mosque, Needy Mosque. Let's name them, because I pay tribute to them, because they made huge sacrifices to establish unity in Rochdale on a particular formula. So you, as an national organization, give authority to the local branches where your masajid and madrasas and schools are present to do something locally.
Yeah, if the people can reach to consensus and have a unity, do it, because that's more important. Because everything which we are doing is compromised. Therefore, make for the people easy. That's Islamic ethos. Make life easy, make them easy for people to follow. And that is a point which we are trying to put forward for the future committees or the people which come about, that we have to reach to get the help from the science, establish the sunnah by looking if the weather is clear, to look the ruya, but at the same time make the decision which is implementable, because what we are doing, if we are not doing that, that we are making a lot of our young people disenchanted from us. And they are going away from Deen because we cannot give any clear guidance to that. And that's a bigger crime.
And because of that disunity, it's so important that we establish unity on this issue.
Unity, understand.
Qiyum Saab ji, and I promise I won't interrupt you. You're used to me interrupting you, and I promise you I won't interrupt you.
It's fine, it's okay. You know, I feel pretty cool because, one, I'm not a scholar, and I'm sure my three brothers here in Qibla Mufti Saab, you know, they're well into Deen. I have very small knowledge, so that's why I'm keeping very quiet. But basically, I feel that if we four can sit here 5 of us today and resolve something, I'm sure that the whole Ummah can as well. I mean, if we can actually come up to some sort of a decision, then at least we know that we made a start and it's the beginning.
Wow. I was expecting to give you 3-4 minutes and you've summed it up in 30 seconds. If all my guests were like you, then it'd be a fantastic show.
One more point. You see, when the people came here, we were immigrant population. The knowledge of even those brothers who say that they are scholars of Deen, the knowledge of society and the knowledge of environment in which we lived was limited. It is growing continuously. Today the knowledge and the body of knowledge is better, the understanding is better. Therefore I believe that as we progress, the depth of knowledge will be better and the attitude towards resolving the issues will be better. Because when you look at all the fuqaha who used to sit, they were all full of knowledge, and the Quranic guidance, you should think, you should do tadabbur, tafakkur, ta'lamun, taqilun, all are the basic premises of thinking.
This is exactly what we are calling for as well.
That's fine. So we've actually got, alhamdulillah, here in the studio, we've got something on which we can agree on. Let's take one call and then I will come to Mufti Saab. If that's okay with you, Mufti Saab.
Go ahead.
You're very passionate tonight, aren't you, Mufti Saab? Mashallah. We've got a caller. Assalamu alaikum, you're live on Ummah channel.
Walaikum salam, brother.
Yes, go ahead. Your question or comment, please, brother.
Can I speak Urdu if you don't mind?
Yes.
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, I just want to say, because actually I see last 3 days on my channel and I love it that. I don't mind to watching. And I'm Muslim. I'm not saying I'm Sunni or Jamaati or Tablighi or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm only Muslim. But I just want to say, we're trying to find unity and we can't make हम ऐसे यूनिटी नहीं फाइंड कर सकते. बेहतर है हम किसी मौलवी आलिम हर फिरके से आलिम को लेकर साथ में बैठ कर मशवरा करके उसके बाद हम फैसला कर सकते हैं. ऐसे टेलीविजन पे हमारे खिलाफ जो लोग होते हैं वो भी देखते हैं और ऐसे पॉइंट पकड़ के उसके ऊपर चलते हैं.
अच्छी पॉइंट आपने किया. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर योर कमेंट.
मैं बस इतना ही कहना चाहता हूँ. मुझे दुख होता है जब मैं टेलीविजन देखता हूँ ना आपके सामने कि दो पीपल कुछ इधर बोलते हैं कुछ इधर बोलते. बेहतर हम किसी मस्जिद में मशवरे करें तो बेहतर रहेगा.
Bhai Sahab, I think debate is a good thing. Discussion is a good thing, and
diversity, I agree with that.
Diversity is very good as well. It's what makes our community so great in this country, that we have that diversity, we have that division.
Yeah, मैं समझ सकता हूँ, लेकिन मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि हमारे अगेंस्ट में बहुत मुस्लिम के अगेंस्ट में भी बहुत लोग होते हैं. ये टेक्नोलॉजी वाला जमाना है और हमारे पीछे बहुत लोग लगे हुए होते हैं और हमारे वीक पॉइंट को पकड़ के चलने वाले लोग होते हैं.
Well, I think you make your point very powerfully. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Ji, we're going to hold the calls for just 3-4 minutes. So Mufti Saab has got free run there. Mufti Saab, you know, you've talked very passionately about what your position is. Qureshi Saab, mashallah, has done you justice to what his position is. But we want to move to a stage where we can come to some sort of resolution. Can we get to that stage now?
Of course we can. That is why I'm here, and that is why some of my sisters praise me, because I feel passionate about these things, and I feel that when it comes to Deen, it belongs to my heart, and it belongs to basically, that is what I am. And if somebody come across the way who will dismantle the rules of Sharia, then obviously that is how bad I feel about it, and I express it straight away. I don't want to be a munafiq about it and laugh on my face and crying inside my heart. Somebody likes it, somebody hates it, but that is an open world, and thank you, sister. At least you have reduced some of my guna. Quran Kareem, ayat mubaraka, ash-shamsu wal-qamaru bihusban. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ने इरशाद फरमाया सूरज को और चांद को, और इसी आयत मुबारक के नीचे मुफस्सिरीन ने फरमाया पूरे कायनात को बारी ताला ने ایک حساب کتاب کے اندر پیدا فرمایا. 7 دنوں کے اندر ہفتے کو اور سال کو اتنے دنوں کے اندر, اور راتوں کو کبھی راتوں کو لمبا کر کے, کبھی دنوں کو لمبا کر کے, راتوں کو چھوٹا کر کے. دن کا اختتام رات سے اور رات کا اختتام دن سے, صبح اور شام کا ایک تصور بنا کے باری تعالیٰ نے کائنات کو ایک روٹیشن کے اندر پیدا فرمایا. سب سے پہلے سائنسدانوں نے جب اس کو دیکھا تو کہنے لگے کہ سورج جو ہے یہ اسٹیشنری ہے, اور یہ جو ارتھ ہے یہ اسٹیشنری ہے, اور سورج اس کے گردا گرد طواف کرتا ہے. پھر اور تحقیق ہوا اور انہوں نے کہا کہ نہیں, یہ جو ارتھ ہے یہ روٹیشن میں ہے اور سورج جو ہے یہ گردا گرد طواف کرتا ہے. اور آئی تھنک کرنٹلی یہ دس از واٹ از اسٹینڈنگ کہ یہ ارتھ جو ہے, قرآنی نظریہ یہ ہے کہ ہر چیز کو باری تعالیٰ نے ایک مدار کے اندر پیدا کر دیا. جس طرح مہینوں کو, سالوں کو, ایام کو, راتوں کو, لیال کو, ہر چیز کو باری تعالیٰ نے اسی طریقے سے مدار کے اندر پیدا فرمایا. اور بعض مفسرین کے تحت یہ مدار جب ختم ہوں گے تو یہ نظام ختم ہوگا اور اسی طریقے سے قیامت کا انتظام ہوگا. یہاں جو مسئلہ سمجھنے کے لیے اور انتہائی انتظامی امور کے ساتھ جس کا ریلیشن ہے وہ یہ ہے کہ یہ مسئلہ جتنا یعنی علمی ہے اور فقہی ہے اتنا ہی یہ مسئلہ انتظامی ہے. اور جب تک انتظامیہ کے لوگ اس مسئلے کو ٹیکل نہیں کریں گے اس وقت تک اس مسئلے کو, اور بائی دا وے جو میں نے احادیث مبارکہ کا تذکرہ کر دیا, کہیں بھی ہمارے علماء کرام نے آبزرویٹری کو, میتھمیٹیکل کیلکولیشن کو رائے کے طور پہ کہیں بھی اس کو اگنور نہیں کیا ہے. اس کو یوٹیلائز کرنا, اس سے تصورات کو لینا, اس کو مجتمع کرنا, شریعت کے اوپر اس کا تولنا, اور پھر شہادت کے مطابق اس کو دیکھنا, یہ تمام وہ زاویے ہیں جو رؤیت ہلال کے اجزاء ہے. اس کے ساتھ ساتھ میں یہ کہنا چاہتا ہوں جتنا یہ مسئلہ دینی ہے اور جتنا یہ مسئلہ ہمارے عقائد کے ساتھ اور ہمارے نظریات کے ساتھ اور ہمارے عید اور رمضان کے ساتھ اور شعبان کے ساتھ جتنا اس کا تعلق ہے اور جتنا حج کے ساتھ اس کا تعلق ہے اتنا یہ مسئلہ انتظامی بھی ہے. اور جب تک ہم انتظامیہ کو اس کے اندر داخل نہیں کریں گے, ہمارے جو مسلمان ایم پیز ہے, ہمارے جو کاؤنسلرز ہے, ہماری جو کاؤنسلز ہے, ہمارے جو مناب ہے, ہمارے جو دیگر کاؤنسلز ہے, جب تک ان کو ہم انوالو نہیں کریں گے اور ایک امبریلا آرگنائزیشن رؤیت ہلال کمیٹی بنا کر اس کے اندر ہم تمام مسالک کو شامل کر کے ان نظریات کو ڈسکس نہیں کریں گے, اس کو یوٹیلائز نہیں کریں گے اور اس کو حل نہیں کریں گے, اس وقت تک میں سمجھتا ہوں برطانیہ کے اندر اس مسئلے کا حل موجود نہیں ہے. اور جب تک وہ مرد خدا جو آگے نہیں بڑھا جس نے تمام ہاتھوں کو اکٹھا کر کے ایک پلیٹ فارم پہ اکٹھا کر کے ان کو حل کی طرف نہیں لے جایا گیا, اور حل صرف ایک ہی ہے, وہ میں سمجھتا ہوں قرآن و حدیث. جب تک ہم قرآن و حدیث کو لے کر اور اتحاد امت کو لے کر تفرقہ بازی کو چھوڑ کر ایک ہاتھ میں ہاتھ ڈال کر جب تک ہم آگے نہیں بڑھیں گے, میں سمجھتا ہوں ہر ایک آدمی اپنے فارمولے کو لے کر, اپنے سوچ کو لے کر, اپنے فکر کو لے کر, اور جس طرح ہمارے قریشی صاحب نے فرمایا کہ ہمارے نوجوان نسل ہم سے دور بھاگیں گے, یہ ایک المیہ ہے. اور میں سمجھتا ہوں ہم ایک ایسے وقت پہ, ایک ایسے چوراہے پہ کھڑے ہیں. آج اگر اس درد کو ہم نے محسوس نہیں کیا اپنے سینوں کے اندر, اب بھی ہماری بہنیں بیٹھ کر یہ دیکھتی کہ کون کول نظر آتا ہے, کون ایگریسو نظر آتا ہے. یہ گھڑی قیامت کی ہے, ہم ایگریسو اور کول کو نہیں دیکھ رہا. ہم نے جو چیز دیکھنی ہے وہ یہ کہ ہم فیصلہ کریں.
اچھا یہ مجھے بتائیں مفتی صاحب کہ are you ready to participate in that unity meeting?
ہم ہر قربانی کے لیے تیار ہے. قرآن کے اوپر, حدیث کے اوپر جب بھی فیصلہ ہوگا پھر ہماری بہن کو کمپلین ہوگا. میں کہتا ہوں ہم ہر قربانی کے لیے تیار ہیں.
You are ready to participate in those discussions with the different groups, school of thoughts, to see if we can get a resolution.
میں کہتا ہوں جناب یہ مختلف اسکول آف تھاٹس کا یہ ڈیفرنٹ مسئلہ ہے ہی نہیں. اس میں کبھی یعنی عبدالوہاب نجدی کا کبھی امام اعظم ابو حنیفہ کے ساتھ اختلاف نہیں ہوا اس مسئلے پر. رؤیت ہلال کا جو مسئلہ ہے قرآن و حدیث میں ہم اس سارے اس میں یونیورسل یہ مسئلہ ہے اور اس میں ہم سارے اکٹھے ہیں. اور کبھی بھی آپ دیکھیں نا, کبھی بھی آپ تھرو آؤٹ دی گلوب جو عرب کنٹریز ہے اس میں آپ دیکھیں کبھی بھی اہل سنت نے نہیں کہا کہ ہم آپ کے فیصلے کو نہیں مانتے. پاکستان کے اندر کبھی دوسرے مسالک نے نہیں کہا کہ ہم نہیں مانتے. افغانستان کی اس طرح آپ لگے جائیں, پورے دنیا کے اندر یہ مسالک کا مسئلہ ہی نہیں ہے. مسئلہ یہ قرآن و حدیث کا ہے. حضور نے واضح فرمایا 29 کا مہینے ہے, حضور نے واضح فرمایا سال کے 12 مہینے ہیں. لوگوں کے ستاروں سیاروں کے اندر اختلاف ہو سکتا ہے, ہمارے کبھی 12 مہینوں اور 29 دنوں کے اندر اختلاف نہیں ہوا, اور یہ 1400 سال میں نہیں ہوا تو آج کیوں ہے؟ آج اس لیے ہے वो जिस तरह किसी शायर ने कहा था कि ये जो मंजिलें है जुदा जुदा, ये मुआमला कोई और है, उस मामला और जो है उसको बाहर फेंकना पड़ेगा, इत्तेहाद उम्मत का सोचना पड़ेगा, और वो तभी मुमकिन है जब हमारा मिनहाज कुरान और हदीस हो। मैं इस पे जोर दे रहा हूँ उस बहन से माजरत के साथ कि मिनहाज हमारा जब तक शरीयत नहीं होगा और फार्मूले होंगे और
ये आपकी स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट है।
मिनहाज गुफ्तगू तब होगी जब मिनहाज शरीयत होगा। मिनहाज शरीयत नहीं होगा तो हम मिनहाज शरीयत नहीं होगा तो हम उस यूनिटी को भी सलाम करते हैं और उस यूनिटी को हम डिसयूनिटी समझते हैं। और मिनहाज शरीयत होगा फिर हम सब हाजिर हैं और हमारी तमाम कुर्बानियां इस आज मैं बैठा हूं ना 3 घंटे, हमने बुरी बातें भी सुनी, अच्छी बातें भी सुनी, मकसद एक है और वो ये है कि वातसिमू बिहब्लिल्लाहि जमीअन वला तफर्रकू, हम सब इकट्ठे हो जाए। और जब हम इकट्ठे हो जाएंगे इस रूह के साथ कि हमारा ईमान, हमारा अकीदा कुरान और हदीस है, हम कुरान और हदीस के दामन को पकड़ कर चलेंगे। मैं समझता हूं आज भी अगर ये चंद तंजीमें इकट्ठे होकर रोयते हिलाल कमेटी को, अगर हमारा एम ये है कि मुस्लिम उम्मा की खिदमत करनी है, फिर रोयते हिलाल कमेटी को बनाया जाए। मैं मुतालबा करता हूं इस फोरम पे, और ये मुतालबा मेरा स्टैंडिंग है जब तक ये मुतालबा एक्सेप्ट नहीं होगा। तमाम हमारे लीडर्स, तमाम हमारे कायदीन जिन्होंने इस फील्ड के अंदर वर्क किया, हम तो कल के बच्चे हैं ना, हम आज उनको लाइन सिखाए कि आज आपको क्या करना चाहिए। जिन लोगों ने 30 साल 35 साल 40 साल इस फील्ड के अंदर काम किया है, उनको आगे बढ़कर इन तमाम हाथों को पकड़कर साथ चलना चाहिए और इत्तेहाद की फिजा कायम करनी चाहिए।
Thank you, Mufti Sahab. I promised you to give you some comments from Facebook and Twitter, but the Twitter and Facebook has been down, so I can give you some now. Let me give you some. Sheikh Muhammad on Facebook is saying, it will never happen. Mullahs will lose face and money and power. Most people who run our community buildings do not care about public opinion, so have a good debate. I'm sure you'll have another one after Big Eid. Somebody else says, let's find common ground, inshallah, we will unite. We've got some more lines are now back open, so you can ring us 01254 277 370 on Twitter, Shafiq UK, on Facebook, you're on the official Ummah channel page. You can Facebook your message, inshallah. I will read that out very shortly. Ji, Maulana, so the minhaj, if you like, the criteria, your starting point or your red line, if you like, in negotiations, as you have red lines, is the Quran and the Sunnah.
The Quran, the Sunnah, and Ru'yat. This is
so your red line is, it has to be
Hilal present,
which is visibility.
Visibility is the criteria which is mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah explicitly.
Even before you get,
of all of the Ummah.
Can I ask you, even because you're involved in Minab as well?
Yeah.
Even if before you get to the stage where you start talking about positions, their position, your positions, a different organization positions, you are prepared to sit down with the different groups to discuss this and to come to a resolution that meets your satisfaction and meets the other side's satisfaction as well.
I think the point here to mention, and just responding to one of your Twitter messages, is that our elders have actually done quite a lot of work in this regard and made their best efforts to meet with different parties and come together. Under the British Muslim Forum, alhamdulillah, all of the Ahlus Sunnati wal Jama'ah in this country, they have now come together, the different organizations, and they did Eid on the one day. And this is something not to take too lightheartedly, because just about 4 years ago, we know that within our own organizations, some people were doing Eid on different days, some people were following Saudi Arabia within our own Ahlul Sunnat wal Jamaat mosques. The fact of the matter is that we are willing to sit down, but are the other people willing to make the sacrifice and come onto the position of visibility? Even I ask Qureshi Sahab and everybody else, come to the point which the Sharia has explicitly told all of us, which the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and all the Muslims have had ijma on, and that is ru'ya. Whether you want to use astronomical information or not, that's another topic.
There are additional tools, aren't there, to help you?
The thing is, you have to come on to ru'ya. Yeah. And just a point here is that
if I can take a call,
okay.
Let's go to Glasgow and speak to Muhammad Qasim. Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad Qasim.
Hello, welcome, Salam.
Go ahead.
My comment is that why are we in this day and time in 21st century relying on science too much when we should go back to traditional times and our Prophet's times and Sahaba's time and rely on the Sharia and the Quran and the Sunnah, when we have a choice in this 21st century to either choose science or go back in our roots. So why are we looking at these instruments that can tell us false beliefs, that can tell us false readings? So why are we doing this when we know that this can cause mayhem in the Ummah?
But surely, let me ask you, Qasim.
Yeah.
We live in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Science is, we've had so much development. We've got the TV, we've got satellites, we've got tom-toms. You know, in the old days, you had to get your A to Z out and find where you were going. Now you've got a tom-tom, you put in the postcode and, you know, you're on your way and you get to your destination without any problem. So technology and science is a good thing also, but it means that you're just taking information from that. That's not a bad thing, is it?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Science has advanced, but on Dini or Islamic terms, this can cause for people to tribes to go to foreign against Islam, you know, on different sides. But what we need to do is come together. We need to get the elders and our muftis from the Dewsbury, muftis from there, and big ulamas that can actually bring together the whole community and actually speak up.
You know what? I've spoken to some of those Maulanas and muftis from the other groups, the other schools of thoughts, and they hold the same opinion. They want unity. And they are prepared to sit down. It's just a matter of somebody taking the initiative and bringing these scholars together. Thank you so much, Muhammad Qasim there from Glasgow. G. Mustafa.
Yeah, Muhammad Qasim, if you're still listening. The point is that when we say that we must be careful when we say this word science, we believe as Muslims that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of the earth, and not only the earth but the universe, the whole universe. And all of the universe Allah ta'ala created precisely according to precise mechanics and mathematics. And as the ayat which my dear Mufti Sahab mentioned before about وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ بِحُسْبَانٍ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the sun and the moon are running on their own mathematical course. And don't think that the experts in this field are Westerners. They might be today leading the way on this, but initially it was the Muslims who made the most fantastic developments in this area, beginning from the Tabi'een. And everybody knows a great scholar called Al-Biruni, or Al-Biruni as it's correctly pronounced. Al-Biruni in the 4th century talked about these issues. I mean, he's got a book on astronomy which talks about mawaqit. And this is 6 centuries before people in the West like Galileo and others wrote on these topics. So 6 centuries before the West had even had a flavor of science and astronomy and such things. We were measuring the globe, for example, the circumference of the globe was mentioned by Muslim scholars centuries ago. So don't think that when these scholars who said that we should use scientific information, they said it's in contradiction to the Quran and the Sunnah. What they said is that scientific information, as it becomes available, actually proves the text of the Quran and the Sunnah, what the Holy Prophet
you use the science, Maulana, to give you an indication of preparation. Well, I suppose you would reflect on that.
Some scholars...
Okay, we've got a caller. I'll come to you in a second. Sadiq is joining us from Burnley. Assalamu alaikum, Sadiq. Hello, Sadiq. You're live on my channel.
Sabir.
Sadiq, yeah. Sabir, I apologize. Sabir Saab, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Shafiq Bhai. Firstly, congratulations on this program, mashallah.
Thank you so much.
And hopefully, you were mentioning that somebody is going to bring people together on this platform, and I hope that it's you, inshallah.
Well, we've got, mashallah, we've got Maulana Mustafa Reza Qadri here. He's on Minab. We've got Abdul Hamid Qureshi Saab is on Minab. They represent 2 different strands, 2 sections of our community. We're demonstrating here a sense of unity, inshallah. And hopefully, I hope they both got responsibility now to go away to take this forward on behalf of our whole community.
Just a couple of points. What it is, the fact that we're talking about science and everything here, yeah, and we've advanced, but the fact that the sad fact for the Muslims in these countries is that either we're not using that to the full potential, or we're missing something that's so basic, basically, that either religiously we have to see it with our own eyes, or if we can use technology, then when they're talking about a Hilal committee, for example, you can have that in regions around UK, for example, and on the night, the Hilal committees go to these various places, where they can see the moon with this technology, and if they see it, they can either say that it's Eid that way, or they see it with their own eyes. Obviously, we've got cloud cover in the UK, right?
Let me ask you, brother. If Greenwich Observatory say the moon on Friday is non-visible, you can't view the moon, but is visible on the Saturday, is that good enough?
well, it's either going to be 29, or the 30th. The thing is, more than likely, in UK, if you're going to see it with your own eyes because of the cloud cover, the Hilal Committee, if they don't see it, we're going to have 30 roses, aren't we?
Yeah. Okay.
And then, so it's not, I don't think it's a very complicated issue, but I think to be, straightforward, there's a bit of a political twist to this, and there's little, the group infighting kind of, so to speak. But I hope that this, the Mufti Sahib and you brothers can get together, inshallah, and sort this issue out, because you took a step in the right direction. The people are interested, and the interest is growing. And inshallah, this simple point, we can get it forward, because if they did it in the past, and just another quick point I want to ask the Mufti Sahib is there, the scholars are there, is that in the past, was there incidences where they had, for example, Eids on the 29th and, obviously the 30th, as we had this year, and how did they deal with it, please?
Okay, very good question. I'll put that to you very shortly in a second. Qureshi Sahib,
sorry, you did ask me a question which I didn't.
I did, yeah.
Go on. Sorry about using astronomical information.
It's an indication.
Just to come on to
you
this.
You don't base your decision in advance on that, do you?
What the ulama are, the BMF formula which has been agreed is that we give a provisional announcement based on the astronomical data that we have, but we give a final decision on the night before. Islamic scholars have argued, for example, there is a great Hanafi scholar called Imam Kafal Shashi in the 4th century. What he says is that the new months should be based on the actual sighting of the moon and also on possibility of sighting based upon astronomical data. His opinion, and the opinion of many other scholars, is that in advance dates can be given based upon the possibility of the sighting. And the reason was because of the fact that they relied upon the astronomical information as not being refutable. And scholars today, for example, Dr. Yallop is a person who's developed, quite a few people have developed this formula, and it's not only non-Muslims. Muslims, for example, the ICOP website is very good. Jordan Astronomical Site, there are 2 websites that are leading the way on this, as well as some others. Most astronomers in the world, well, in fact, all of them agree that Dr. Yallop's criteria about moon visibility, for example, it can be seen with the naked eye, or that it needs optical aid to see the moon, or that it's impossible to sight. The astronomers and scientists across the globe agree that Dr. Yallop's information has been proven to be correct for the last number of decades. So the calculations which they have given, they've actually been tested by actual moon sightings, actual sightings of the moon. And what's happened is it's proved that the mathematical formulas and equations have been correct every single time. But some people are slightly uneasy about the over-dependence on this, as Shafiq was saying, so that we should use it as a guide and make the final announcement on the final day. I mean, I'm easy both ways, as long as we have come on to Ru'ya or the Imkan of Ru'ya.
So I suppose that's something to negotiate.
I mean, when you look at
because there are some people, let me be honest with you, Maulana, there are some people who found it uncomfortable that there were some Ahl Sunnah al Jamaat scholars who were announcing, I know in Bradford it was announced well in advance, 2 weeks in advance, Eid is going to be on the Wednesday. Now, if you're criticising the Saudis for making advance announcements, then you should criticise the Brahmins who do exactly the same thing.
Imam Subki in Fatawa Subki says, and this is his opinion, I'm not saying that this is
I'll come back to you, let's take...
Wal hisabu qat'iyyun. He actually believes that once all the factors are right, that visibility of the moon then is qati based upon that formula. So this is why some people believe it is okay to announce him. If you, after the call, can you just give me one last
Okay, I'll come back to you. I just want to make a question, Sab, and then I'll come back to you.
Okay, can I just make it quickly?
Just make it quickly now.
On practicalities, the problem is that we are living in the UK. We need to decide in advance. People need to take days off work. And inshallah, and especially from this platform of Ummah channel, we should work for a national holiday on our 2 Eid celebrations, and hopefully on the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ, that in this country we have a national day. The only way we can work for that national holiday in this country is that in advance, if our scholars sit down, and then that means that we have to give more credibility and more dependence on astronomical information given by the scientists. So in advance, we can have our calendars, not just so that people can take holidays from work and organize their other activities, but also that we can lobby the government and engage with the government and say, this is the day of our Eid, we would like a national holiday. Or at least in schools, where certain schools actually do give holidays, and schools have had this problem. Governors have this problem that we
Okay.
want to give the school a holiday because there are a lot of Muslims, but you've got two different Eids.
That is a big issue in schools and workplaces as well, because we all work in our workplaces, don't we, Qayyum Saab?
We do, yes.
It's a very big issue. I'll come to you, Qayyum Saab, very shortly, and then I'm going to go to Qureshi Saab. Sadar Saab is joining us from Scotland. Assalamu alaikum, Sadar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Apologies to keep you waiting there, but as you can see, Maulana was in full swing, so I wanted him to complete his important points.
नहीं कोई ऐसी बात नहीं है असल में माशाल्लाह आप अच्छी कोशिश कर रहे हैं 3-4 दिन से उम्मत को यूनाइटी कर रहे हैं तो इसमें असल में बहुत सी प्रॉब्लम भी हैं असल में ये चांद की जो है ये 3 किस्में हैं 3 लोग जो हैं वो चांद को फॉलो करते हैं एक चांद है शहूदी चांद एक चांद है वजूदी चांद और एक है सऊदी चांद तो ये मैं मजाक नहीं कर रहा चूंकि लोगों का हमारा ये तजर्बा है ये
जी जी
तो इसमें यानी कि काफी एक दूसरे अपने अपने व्यू अपने अपने पॉइंट दे रहे हैं दलीलें दे रहे हैं अभी तो कभी कभी 3 भी हो जाती हैं तो अभी तो हम सिर्फ 2 के ऊपर हैं तो इसमें हमें कोशिश करनी चाहिए असल में जो मेरे पास इंफॉर्मेशन है कि मंडे को यूके में चांद की जो बर्थ थी वो 15 आवर थी 15 यानी कि आवर उसकी एज थी अब कुछ लोग जो हैं वो यानी कि इसमें अगर हम इत्तिहादी तौर पर चांद के वजूद की एज पर जो है सब मसालिक जो हैं चांद के वजूद उसकी एज के ऊपर अगर हम मुत्तफिक हो जाएं जिस तरह के ये स्कैंडिनेविया में होता है जहां ना कोई 6-6 महीने सूरज भी नहीं होता कोई ना दिन होता है ना रात होती है 6-6 महीने यानी कि इतना लॉन्ग लेंथ होता है तो वहां इत्तिहाद के जरिए लोगों ने अपने अपने टाइमों को रखिए हुए हैं तो असल में ये मसला हल जो है ये शहूद के ऊपर नहीं होगा ये वजूद के ऊपर होगा कि तमाम जो है मुफ्ती औजाम जो है या मुत्तहिद जो है वो चांद की जो न्यू मून की जो बर्थ है कि उसकी कितनी बर्थ होनी चाहिए कितने आवर होने चाहिए अगर
सिद्धार्थ साहब जो आप गुफ्तगू कर रहे हैं मेरे ख्याल ये जो रूह हयात कमेटी इंशाल्लाह जो पैदा होगी ये मेरे ख्याल उस कमेटी में ये जो गुफ्तगू आप कर रहे हैं उसमें मेरे ख्याल इज बेस्ट environment.
The reason why I smiled was not to really what he said was exactly right. It's just the way that he put it was
correct. Okay, thank you, Siddharth साहब. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Siddharth साहब. मैं apologize करता हूँ कि आपको कट ऑफ किया. माशाल्लाह आप बहुत अच्छी बात की है. This is an issue which the Ruh Halat Committee would take up. And Qureshi साहब, I'm wanting to, because we're coming towards the end of Sham, we want to, because our viewers, like everybody in the community, are very sad about this. It's not a game of pointing the finger and blaming people and claim and count. And there's claims on both sides. Let's be honest. The people who did it on Tuesday were making claims against the people on Wednesday, and it's vice versa. We want to get to a conclusion.
Nobody should blame anyone to be wrong. That's the point.
Okay,
one,
which is fine.
Second.
Now you're involved in Minab.
Yeah, second. No, I partially involved in Minab, but partially in...
You're a founding member.
Was engaged more
initially
deeply before, yes.
Okay, I know you've been very humble and
I'm very
in terms
busy,
of your experiences and contribution, but you've been a founding member. Is it possible, you know the people, Maulana Mustafa Saab, is it possible to get those, we'll go to call it in a second, but is it possible to get those different school of thoughts together in one room and talk about this issue?
The different school of thoughts are already together. The challenge for those organizations is, because this is a disputed issue and sometimes people are very sensitive about it. When they're very sensitive, these organizations doesn't want to touch that area, which is so sensitive. They can live they can live with many needs, but they did not want to live that these organizations started to disintegrate. So therefore, there is bigger objective in front of them, therefore they did not touch it. We are reaching to a point, and I can see from the discussion, I'm also observing the society, that the knowledge base is enhancing, people's acceptability.
Internet, 24 news.
And the people who are living here, their view is shifting. And the shifting towards constructive way. And I think that we are reaching to a point that possibly, if we just talk to these organizations, try to take it up to a certain level without jeopardizing their overall objectives, it is possible we move towards that direction. Look, my brother, very respected on the other side, was making this point that in the 4th century, it was our mathematician and ulama who was deciding that how you can rely in some ways on the mathematical calculation. The knowledge has developed.
Yeah.
Today, we have tremendous amount of knowledge. People are going to the point that many of the normal people will even not understand the depth of knowledge. Combination.
Hence the reason why I said it's a matter for the scholars and the experts,
it's complex.
not a matter for the
always now
Yeah.
a combination of these scholars who will be able to resolve this issue with the open heart. It is still, many of the time you reach to a point where both could be right.
Yeah.
So at that point, we have to have an open mind. To shift ourselves doesn't matter. That is also right, and this is also right.
MCB, MINAB, and British Muslim Forum. I think they're the 3 organisations nationally who could come together. They're going to be stopped being scared of themselves.
No, I think that, like my brother is sitting here from Muslim Forum, they can initiate, let's call a meeting. Their brother from MINAB, he also sits there. It's very easy to call a meeting.
MINAB is actually an umbrella organisation, which the BMF and the MCB, both of them are under the MINAB.
Yeah.
So that would be a
and that's why I said MINAB would be a starting point, because you've got MCB, you've got the different school of thoughts all represented at that forum.
The problem is that the MINAB's primary focus at the moment is dealing with mosques and imams.
That's not their framework.
That's not really their framework, but it is a platform.
You've got an annual general meeting coming up, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got an EGM, so maybe you could put an amendment to your terms of reference to include this.
I think it's a very good idea, Shafiq. At the moment, it's not
Can I
among
take
their
a call?
agenda, but I think it's a fantastic idea.
I think it's a fantastic idea. I want to develop this. And hopefully, I hope tonight people are getting something positive. We're not just criticising, we're trying to come with solutions. Positive discussion. We've got our brother on the phone. I don't know where he's calling from, but Assalamu alaikum. You're live on my channel.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम
Brother from Leicester. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
अब्दुर्रहमान बात कर रहा हूँ लूटन से
जी अच्छा Luton से. Quite far away from Leicester. Assalamu alaikum, brother. I apologise to keep you waiting, but I wanted to listen to Qureshi Saab say his point.
That's all right. I just would like to make a couple of points.
Bismillah.
एक तो बात ये है कि जो इवन इस वक्त माशाल्लाह उलमा कराम बैठे हुए हैं और उलमा कराम जो है इस बात को काफ़ी इम्प्रूव करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि इसका असल जो चांद देखने का तरीका है वो किस तरीके से होना चाहिए मेरे ख्याल है अगर हम इफ़ वी जस्ट गो बैक एटलीस्ट 10 to 15 years the method that Ahlus Sunnah wal Jamaat using today was exactly the same method for the Deoband school of thought and for the other school of thoughts as well. I can quote you Mufti Rashid Ahmad Saab. He's written a whole book.
If I can ask you, we've had this discussion. I've quoted those Darul Uloom Deoband scholars.
Exactly.
I've quoted Mufti Justice Mufti Taqi Usmani Sahib, who's an authoritative voice in Pakistan.
Exactly.
Darul Uloom Deoband. I've got his fatwa with me as well.
I've on a previous show before Ramadan, I quoted all these scholars.
Exactly.
So I think our viewers know that. Okay. Thank you so much for your call, brother. Thank you so much. Again, this is not an issue about firqas. This is about issues of community. I think we're getting somewhere, Qureshi Saab, aren't we? That if we can change the terms of reference through either an AGM, which is coming up for the MINAB, I got an email today saying that MINAB AGM is happening, or we can have an extraordinary general meeting of MINAB membership to change the terms of reference, to set up a subcommittee of the Ruh-e-Halat, National UK Ruh-e-Halat Committee, with representatives from all the different strands coming together and saying, okay, let's not give up hope. Let's come together and talk. At least if we are talking, we're making progress.
Shafiq, I think that you have, forgive me, Mullah, you have a point. And the point is that you have initiated that debate, a discussion. Why is it not possible for you to write a letter to all these organizations and say this is a real concern? Is it possible for you to initiate that discussion among yourselves and come up with a solution? And I think that you can put this proposal forward. Brother is there. We can use our influences.
Even better. Ummah Channel. We will write to, inshallah. We will write to on behalf of Ummah Channel.
Yes.
We will write to all those 3 organizations: the British Muslim Forum. We will write to MINAB, the Mosque Imam National Advisory Board, and we will also write to the Muslim Council of Britain.
Yes.
And we are happy to facilitate those discussions. We are happy to take on the responsibility and facilitate them discussions. Let's take a call. We've got a caller. Let's see. Assalamu alaikum. Hello, you're live on Ummah Channel. Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome, Salam. Just a general comment and a few questions. Comment is this: I think in terms of unification, we need to go to broad organizations. For instance, MCB, ISB, which is the Arab equivalent in terms of a massive organization. We need to go to these broad organizations that are not sectarian or represent one sectarian view.
Well, that's why, brother Muhammad Iqbal Sahab, that's why we represented, we mentioned Muslim Council of Britain. It's an umbrella organization.
And ISB as well, because Ummah Channel, in my view, and Ummah Channel do some good service, but they come from a one theological school of thought.
Yeah,
there's always going to be issues, vested interests. So we need broader organizations.
No, but with respect, can I just say, with respect, the Muslim Council of Britain, ISB is a member of the Muslim Council of Britain. So having the Muslim Council of Britain represents the ISB and all the different strands, the members of the Muslim Council of Britain.
And you have different representatives on the panel today as well.
Yes. And alhamdulillah, we've got different
My point about
representatives.
ISB is this: ISB is generally more Arab, and the fact is at the moment we're talking about a lot of Asians, Pakistanis, Indians. It's again the Arabs, Somalians, those kind of organizations. If you want unity in the UK, we have a broad basis for coalition and unity as such.
Brother,
that's my point in terms of unification.
Okay, well, I hear what you said, but I would disagree with you. We're talking about the UK Muslim community. We do not differentiate
what
between
brother is trying to
ethnicity.
say that there are very
brother, you
important...
misunderstood me. I'm saying UK. We've got Somalis in the UK. We've got Arabs in the UK. We need a broad coalition, I'm saying. I'm not saying
the Arabs and the Africans are part of the Muslim Council of Britain.
No, what brother is saying, they will facilitate. I know these organizations, they're very important.
Yes, they are,
doing
absolutely.
Tremendous amount of work. But there...
You can't, somebody
will initiate
Muhammad
it.
Iqbal Sahab, you can't, and I hear what you say, and I agree with you, you can't exclude anybody.
Nobody will be
Everybody's going to be involved.
Brother Muhammad Iqbal, under the Minab, Mosques Imams National Advisory Board, all people are representatives, including even Iranians. The Shia community is also represented. Al-Khoi is a major part of the Minab. And one thing I'd just like to suggest to Brother Shafiq here, I mean, he's come up with some very good practical ideas here, is the fact that this issue about whether we need to set up a Ru'yat-e-Hilal committee is a good idea. But we already have the Minab which can do that without setting up a new organization. We don't actually need a new organization because all of these different organizations are represented on Minab. What they can do is that the representatives, each one on the Minab board, can put their case forward. They can either take it to a vote like they do in some of their things.
It could be a compartment or a committee.
Yeah, a committee of it, and each representative takes their position to the Minab. But what they have to do on that is, perhaps one idea is that the chairman makes the final announcement, or it can be the majority view of the board on the day, because there's Sunnis, there's the Shia community on there, there's MCB, Deobandis, Wahhabis, everybody
together.
And they can make a
all of them
collective
are on
decision.
there, and they can make a collective decision which is binding, and that decision will then filter through all the mosques throughout the country.
Okay, thank you so much, Muhammad Iqbal Sahab there from London for your call. And the point is, we're one step ahead of everybody else. Unlike in the United States, unlike Canada, unlike Europe, we've already got something which has already been set up, Minab.
Yes.
We've got a national advisory board of mosque and imams already which represents every strand. So, Qureshi Sahab, we're already one step ahead.
About 600 mosques we have, 600 mosques.
So we're already one step ahead.
We were one step ahead since 97. When the MCBs was formed, a lot of people were part of it. The issue is just simple. Now the things have moved better in a position. A lot of people have shifted their position. The environment is changing. The demography has changed. There is a new generation which is coming up, and they want to resolve this issue. So therefore, I think that we are now reaching a point that a new initiative may take us to a point where we may be able to resolve that issue. But what it will be at the end, what mechanism they will devise, and how the implementation will take place. Sometime you will have a committee with no effect, just a talking shop. Therefore,
But if
the
you get
push,
if
the
you,
push
but
should
if
be.
you get if I hear and I work in government, and we have so many committees in government, and sometimes you don't actually achieve things. You do have a talking shop, and many times you do actually achieve things. But let's go to Sheffield and talk to Muhammad Siddiq Saab. Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad Siddiq.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। मैं सलाम अर्ज कर रहा हूँ मुफ्ती साहबान से और बाकी पैनल से। पहली बात तो ये अर्ज कर रहा हूँ जनाब कि आपने बार बार ये कहा कि उम्मत में इख्तिलाफ है। मेरा ख्याल ये है और पूरी उम्मत का ये इत्तेफाक है कि पहली शव्वाल को ईद है। अब असल मसला इख्तिलाफ का ये है कि आया रमज़ान शरीफ 29 को पूरा हो गया है या 30 को पूरा हुआ है। तो इख्तिलाफ तत्बीक में है चांद के। ईद में किसी को भी इख्तिलाफ नहीं है कि पूरी फुक़हा और पूरी उम्मत इस पर इत्तेफाक है कि पहली शव्वाल को ईद है। ये तो एक मुत्तफ़क़ है। अब इसके बाद रहा कि हल कैसे किया जाए। तो मेरे ख्याल में तो हल बड़ा आसान है। हज़रत इब्न अब्बास कहते हैं कि रसूल सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के साथ मैंने ईद की नमाजें जो पढ़ी हैं तो सबसे अक्सर और बेशतर उसमें 29 को ईद हमने पढ़ी है। उसकी एक वजह यह है कि हर साल 10 दिन पहले ईद आती है, यानी वो इसलिए रमजान के 10 दिन पहले आते हैं कि
Thank you so much, Mohammed Sadiq Saab. I think you're going, Mohammed Sadiq Saab, thank you so much for your call. I think you're going on a very detailed discussion, which I think the National Ruh Halat Committee for the United Kingdom should be taking
And I'd
on.
like to make a proposal actually today on your program.
I promise we'll come back to your proposal. Qayyum Saab, you're very quiet.
I know, I'm just observing because I've got these three scholars in
We've got,
in the end. They've got some
okay,
very good comments.
we're getting close to the end of the show. We've got about 10 minutes, and we finally, after letting off some steam and having a passionate position we've taken on issues, we've got to stage now where we've kind of agreed it's a good step that MINAB, the Muslim Imam National Advisory Board, adapts its terms of reference to include something about moon sighting, to set up a subcommittee for Ruh Halat. This is something which Ummah Channel will write to all the different organisations. Are you seeing some...
What I want to say to you is that after sitting here for over 2 hours and observing and listening to my three brothers here and, you know, Qibla Mufti Saab, I've come to a decision in my mind that we've started the ball rolling, and this has given us a platform with having all these honourable people on the stage. And the ball rolling, now the ball is going into the Alim ad-Deen's court, and the decisions, I cannot see that any problems that we have that cannot be resolved. As long as we're alive and kicking, there is always a resolution. And I think the first person to take a fourth step, which is Ummah Channel, to go ahead, and with having these three honourable people on there who has the knowledge and the skill, inshallah, I can see that we have actually moved into the first gear. From a neutral position, we have moved to the first gear. Also, it is very painful, like they say, no pain, no gain. Somebody has to make the first step, and I think Ummah Channel has, and with obviously the support from these honourable people, I think we moved forward, and I think we have made very good progress.
I will come to Mufti Saab very shortly, but Nadeem Ashfaq on Facebook is saying, a great programme, Muhammad. Unity is much needed and is very possible to achieve. We need people with good intentions and the courage and willingness to achieve this. It will be a struggle, but it can happen. We've got some more. I will come back to that. We've got Umar Saab in Preston. Assalamu alaikum, Umar.
Alaikum salam, Shafiq Saab. How are you?
I'm very good, sir. Yourself? You well?
Alhamdulillah. And assalamu alaikum to everyone on the panel as well. I just want to make a comment, that's all. A few years ago, I was sat with some Deobandi ulama, and I asked them the question. I said, why are you doing Eid on a different day? Why are you following Saudi Arabia? And their comments were because of some mistake that was made a few years ago by Morocco, because some guy was asleep. But I said, but you know that Saudi Arabia are doing it wrong, so why are you still following them? And they said, the reason we're still following them is because if we were to change all of a sudden, it will cause fitna amongst their own community. But within the next 15 years, they are not going to follow Saudi Arabia. And these are like prominent Deobandi scholars who are telling me this.
MashaAllah. And you know what, let's be, you know, those scholars have said those issues, alhamdulillah, and you know, we are seeing, as Qureshi Saab was eloquently saying, we are seeing the seeds sown now, where people out there in the public are getting very fed up. Thank you so much for your call, brother Umar from Preston. Ji Qibla Mufti Saab, we've started something now, haven't we, tonight here on Ummah Channel. We've agreed on behalf of Ummah Channel, we will write to the three organisations and ask them to amend their terms of reference and to have this initiative. I know Maulana Mustafa has got a suggestion as well. And inshallah, we in Ummah Channel will facilitate that. We won't take a position. It's not for us to take a position. We will facilitate that discussion. अगर आपको room चाहिए, conference room चाहिए, खाने का इंतजाम चाहिए, जो भी हो, वो जिम्मेदारी हम उठाने के लिए तैयार हैं. Obviously, we're from Ummah Channel, you know, as head of news and politics, and I'm sure Brother Arif and the whole team here will take that responsibility as we have done very seriously. तो उसमें आप अगर इजाज़त हो तो एक कॉल ले लेना बर्मिंघम से. अस्सलाम वालेकुम. I think Altaf Saab in Birmingham.
अस्सलाम
वालेकुम सलाम जी.
मैं सिर्फ ये बात करना चाह रहा था कि
लास्ट 3-4 कॉलें मैंने देखे जो आप मिडल में ही ड्रॉप कर देते हैं. अब कम से कम उनके सवाल तो सुन लें या वो जो कमेंट्स कर रहे हैं उनको तो सुन लें, किया करें.
जी आप ही ये ज़रा ख्याल रखें जब बात करें तो थोड़ी सी बात करें तो ताकि जल्दी से आप जो बात करना चाहते हैं, as they say in get your sound bite right, then inshallah we'll be able to get through much callers. What's your point please brother?
That's it. That's
यही point है. Thank you जनाब, Jazakallah for your feedback. Ji Maulana, I mean obviously we want to get through, we get hundreds of calls waiting and the lines are very busy and we want to get through as many calls as possible. So if you do call, please keep your comments brief, you know.
Short and brief and up to the point.
वो English में कहते हैं ना,
Short,
what do
brief
you
and up
say?
to the point.
If you can't sum up in 30 seconds, keep it to yourself.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Ji, I'm not saying that to you Mufti Sahab obviously.
मैं ये गुजारिश करना चाहता हूँ, नहीं यार जो मैंने सुना है ना उसमें ये कोई बात नहीं. अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला इस सही को कबूल फरमाए जो दीन के और उम्मत के इत्तेहाद के लिए हम यहाँ बैठे हैं. हुज़ूर सैयदी आला हज़रत ने एक रिसाला लिखा अल-बुदूरुल अजिल्ला फ़ी उमूरिल अहिल्ला, और उसमें उन्होंने तमाम ये फ़ुक़हाए हनफ़ी के मुताबिक तमाम तहक़ीक़ात को उन्होंने बयान फरमाया. और उसी में उन्होंने ये बात लिखी है, आपने फरमाया, बल्कि आपने इब्तिदाअन ये जुमला फरमाया कि ये सही करना, ये कोशिश करना, ये मेहनत करना, ये फ़र्ज़ किफ़ाया है. उम्मत के अंदर चाँद के देखने की सही करना, आपने फरमाया ये फ़र्ज़ किफ़ाया है. और बराहीन और दलाइल की रोशनी में आपने ये इरशाद फरमाया. और आपने ही मुख्तलिफ़ जगहों पर फ़तावे रज़विया के अंदर ये इरशाद फरमाया कि जितना भी मैंने देखा इस मसले को, आप फरमाते कि इसका हल यही है कि क़वानीन शरीयत को लेकर एक रोयत हिलाल जमीयत हो, एक जमात हो जो इन तमाम मसाइल को देखे, जांचे, तोले, परखे और फिर उसके बाद एक मसले का हल निकाले. और हम देखते हैं 100 बार आप बाज़ ममालिक को बुरा कहे, गलत कहे, उन्होंने अपने ममलिकत के अंदर तसव्वुर एक तरस दिया है, शरीयत का एक तसव्वुर दिया है और उसके मुताबिक वो चला रहे हैं. आज अगर मैं समझता हूँ, अगर ये अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, और मैं आप सबको मुबारकबाद पेश करता हूँ क्योंकि मैं खुद ये रोयत हिलाल कमेटी का जो तजवीज़ मैंने दिया, ये मैंने खुद नहीं दिया है, ये हमारे असातिज़े किराम बुजुर्गान दीन और आप जैसे दोस्तों की एक मेहनत इसमें शामिल है. और अगर आज भी रोयत हिलाल कमेटी के अंदर हम बैठ कर ये मसला हल कर ले और आइंदा साल के लिए 15 साल की बात निकाल ले, अगर दिल साफ़ है और शायद कि उतर जाए तेरी दिल में मेरी बात, सोच और फिक्र साफ़ है, दिल साफ़ है और नीयत सिर्फ और सिर्फ यही है कि बारगाह खुदावंदी में मैंने एक रोज़ जाना है, बारगाह मुस्तफ़ा में शफात के लिए एक रोज़ मैंने जाना है. आज ही इस उम्मत के जितने मसाइल है उसको आज ही हम हल कर ले. फिर मैं समझता हूँ 15 साल की नहीं, एक घड़ी की भी इस मसले के अंदर देर नहीं है. अगर हम इस नीयत के साथ लेकर चले, हम देवबंदी है तो भी दीन मोहम्मदी के लिए है, हम बरेलवी तो भी दीन मोहम्मदी के लिए, शिया है जो भी है, अपने मन के मुताबिक, अपने सोच के मुताबिक वो लोग दीन को फॉलो करते हुए ही यही बने हैं. लिहाजा आज अगर शरीयत को, कुरान और हदीस को हम तराजू बनाकर अपने आप को उसमें तोलना शुरू कर दे और ये चांद का मसला, ये ईदैन का मसला, ये ज़िलहज्जा का मसला, इस सब को हम मुत्तहिद होकर हल करना चाहे, मैं समझता हूँ हम अपने मंजिल से और अपने टारगेट से 2 कदम पीछे है. क्योंकि शरीयत ने रास्ता बनाया है, हमारा मिजाज बनाया है, हमारा फिक्र बनाया, हमारा उसलूब बनाया है, उस रास्ते के ऊपर आप खोल ले.
Thank you very much. Let's take our last caller tonight. Irfan Saab from Bradford. Assalamu alaikum Irfan.
Wa alaikum salam Sheikh Saab. It's just a quick comment I want to make. I think one of your previous callers made a comment with regards to the Deobandi masjids. Now my point is, one of my friends actually goes to the Deobandi masjid and he actually asked the ulama there, why are you doing Eid with Saudi Arabia? Now the ulama basically told him, we know we're doing it on the wrong day. They completely admitted it. But the point they made was the committee members and the people who run the mosques want to do it with Saudi Arabia. But the actual imam of the masjid knew they were doing it on the wrong day. Now what my point is that we need to make an appeal to the Deobandi masjids that you know you're doing it on the wrong day. Your own ulama made fatwas against it. So we really need to make an appeal against them, because let's face it, most of the masjids, majority of Sunni masjids are either Brelvi or Deobandi. Now if the majority are then doing it on the same day, surely others will then follow. Just another point for Mufti Sahab, a question for them is there any hadith sharif or tradition of the Prophet ﷺ where Medina did it on a different day to Makkah Sharif, if they have anything that they could share with us?
Well, there's I think the hadith of Qurayb hadith, which I've read so many times here on Ummah channel.
Could they relate that to us, please?
If you put the come off the phone, I'm sure Qibla, Maulana Mustafa, I read this hadith before as well on my channel as well, so I know it exists. So you will get hadith, Sahih hadith on this. One of my good friends, Zahir from Rochdale, he texted this to me. I didn't know about this hadith until he texted it to me. Maulana, I want you to, because we're coming towards the end of the show, and I want to give at least a minute to Qureshi Sahib to sum up as well. I just want you to sum up your suggestion and also sum up the hadith.
Well, yeah, back. 2 points I'd like to make here, very briefly. That is, one of the things is about the discussion of whether we should use astronomical information for assistance or not. The issue here is that in places like India and Pakistan, they don't really need to rely on astronomical information in the same way that we need to do here. That's for 2 reasons. One is because, as we know in Britain, the matla or the horizon is often quite cloudy, quite difficult to see. The other thing is that globally, the UK is in a very abnormal position, meaning that the normal cycle of the moon, when it occurs, we often end up seeing the moon about a couple of days later, or at least a day later from the rest of the world. That means that we end up being behind the rest of the world once a few years happen, at least by a few days or even 10 days. So this is why we need to consider both options here. The proposal that I'd like to make on your program today with the permission of the host is that BMF, the British Muslim Forum, have already adopted a formula. It's a formula based on the sighting of the new moon. What we'd like to do with that formula, which you can go into more detail, with that criteria that we have adopted, and it's the same criteria which Mufti Taqi Osmani has also suggested. And the Shia community will also come on board with this also. And that is that we need to come onto moon visibility. And moon visibility, I mean, when we talk about local, I'll mention the hadith of Quraib as well. That is when in Sham, Hazrat Amir Muawiyah announced that the moon had been sighted, the day of Eid. Now, a Sahabi went back, a person went back to Medina Sharif and reported this to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud stated that if they have sighted the moon, that moon is hujjah for them but not for us. But they completed another day and did Eid according to the date, according to the moon sighting in Medina, not in Sham. And that is possible, that the moon can be visible in Sham and in Medina on different days. Okay. The ulama have differed on this point of whether you should do Eid according to a local sighting or whether you can use the sighting of another location.
Thank you so much, Maulana.
Just very
I haven't got a season. I think I've got about 30 seconds for you, Abdul Qureshi Sahib.
My point will be general that one, we should change our attitude, and that is the attitude of blaming others, any countries or any people, because our problems lies with us. And we have to change our mindset to resolve those problems and point the finger towards ourselves in order to resolve those. The hope is this, that many of the people's position is changing. I think that inshallah, if we engage our minds and the set of knowledge, and there is a lot of goodwill in a lot of people, I hope inshallah that in coming days we will be reaching to a unifying point. So therefore, I think whatever initiative we can take now, let's start setting up a mechanism and start moving forward. Not with impatiently, that in a very short period you start blaming one another. No. Things usually takes time. Give them their time and create the mechanism which is implementable, and inshallah we'll have this point resolved.
I just think by you being here today demonstrates that there is an appetite for unity on your part. So Jazakallah, thank you so much for coming, Qureshi Sahib. I know you're a very busy man. Thank you so much to every Maulana Mustafa Raza Qadri Sahib, to Qayyum Dad Sahib, and to Qibla Mufti Fazl Qayyum Subhani Sahib, who is very passionate tonight. Jazakallah, thank you so much for joining us. I just want to say in conclusion, first of all, on behalf of Ummah Channel, I want to apologize to anybody who took offense to our shows in the past few days where you felt we were targeting the Saudis or blaming the Saudis. That was not our intention. Our intention was to give you an opinion based on the scholars of Ahl Sunnah wal Jamaat. Clearly there is a difference opinion from this Saudi opinion and the people who follow the opinion which is in partnership with Saudi Arabia. It was never our intention to demonize, to attack, to label the Saudi community or the Saudi as a country. We are living in the United Kingdom, and we look to work to build a cohesive society. So if anybody out there has been offended by those comments, On behalf of Ummah Chan, we apologize, but that was never our intention. Our intention is to have robust debate. It is right in a free society that we have that robust debate where you see, as you've seen tonight, two very passionate individuals giving very passionate views. Abdul Hamid Qureshi Sahab articulating in a very passionate way, and also Maulana Mustafa Raza Qadri making his point on this very important debate. We know, inshallah, as we move forward, the Ummah Channel will be writing to Muslim Council of Britain, we'll write to the British Muslim Forum, we'll also be writing to the Mosque Imam National Advisory Board, and ask them to take this initiative forward, and we will do whatever is necessary from our point of view to facilitate those discussions, because I believe unity can be possible if we can only come together. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the end of the moon sighting debate for this year. Hopefully inshallah next year we won't have a moon sighting debate. We'll have one announcement in the United Kingdom, and we'll have one Eid inshallah. Jazakallah, thank you for your time. Until next time. One more now, quick announcement. Our program on Wednesday night, Debate Night Special, is on 9/11, 10 years on, a tribute to the terrorist attacks that happened on September 11th in New York and Washington. So until Wednesday, take care of yourself and each other. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.